In, Poppy.
Okay. Well, welcome back, everybody, to the Locked Off Logic podcast with Tyler and Sam. Happy to be back again. Sam is having a bad day.
A little fucking fired up.
His hairband broke. Is the latest thing that just happened. Yeah. What do they call it? The hairband?
Yeah, hair tie.
His hair tie broke. And so you see him, he's got his long mane out, which I think it looks good. I think you should do that more often. He's got my Christmas present on. I gave him this thing because we're talking today about The Last of Us, the video game in 2013 and the TV show that came out on HBO in 2023, I think is when that came out. Last year? I think it was last year.
I think it was 2022.
2022? Ah, that's right. No, it's only been 2 years. I think it was 2023.
But we're only at the beginning of 2025.
Yes.
January.
But I think it came out in
Oh, shit.
Because I think it did.
I think you're right.
I think I'm right too.
Well, we could
check on it real quick.
When did Last of Us TV show on HBO Max release?
The Last of Us TV show was released on HBO Max on January 15, 2023.
There you go.
This answer is from GamerEvolution.com.
Yeah, we know.
Thanks, Boo.
2023. So we're 2 years. We're getting ready for the...
Almost to the date, dude.
Yeah.
It's the 31st.
Does that mean you have to wait until 2027 for the next season? Maybe depressed. Probably, right?
Oh, yeah. We're 2025.
Yeah, okay. Well, okay, well...
Fair warning for today. Fuck.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of fucks in there. Yeah.
For me.
And I think the story, too. I think it's just... There's a lot of instances in The Last of Us where you're just like, fuck, I can't believe that just happened. You know, like when I was playing the game for the first time? Like, we'll get to it. Because I remember there was one incident where I was like, I can't believe that just happened. Like, why are they making me play through this? Like, fuck! Why would they do this? But we'll get into that. Speaking of fuck, Sam, I want to know, the question of the day, I was going to ask you, what is the most anticipated movie that you're looking forward to in 2025? Which you can also answer, since I already spoiled that for you. You can answer that. 2 questions today. What is your most anticipated movie of 2025? And what is a movie that you went into and you were so hyped for and you came out just so disappointed?
Just in general?
In general. In general, it can be Netflix, it can be at the movie theater, it can be anything like that. Where you went in and you had such high hopes and you came out and you were just like...
High hopes.
I can't believe that's how that went down.
Well, while I pop all my body parts here for everybody watching on YouTube, when you see me do all of this shit, it's because I
got cramps.
Well, not really cramps.
To tighten up.
I gotta adjust my spine and my neck.
Yeah, you do have a bad back.
Yeah. The back's pretty good.
A new back.
Because I got a new back, Pro Disc, total disc replacement on 2 levels, S1, L5, L5, L4. I'm basically bionic. Well, no, I'm not basically. I fucking am bionic.
You are bionic at this point. I'm sure it cost you $100,000 to get bionic, too.
We don't want to talk about it. Just add it on my card.
Add it on a card.
Just add it on my card.
We all live on credit cards anyway. I mean, so what's stopping us?
Okay, so what movie am I most looking forward to in 2025? I have to admit that I don't know what's coming out this year. I think if I think about it, then I'll be able to populate some, but I cannot really think of any that are coming out this year.
Okay.
Name some.
Well, I know on some of the lists I'm seeing online, well, for me, I kind of went back and forth between the Fantastic Four, because we're talking about The Last of Us and Pedro, he's the lead in Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I'm tapped out on all superhero movies, so none of them are on my radar.
Not even Superman?
No.
Because I think Superman is my most anticipated. Like, I've never been a big Superman person, but I think it's in good hands with James Gunn. I really like the casting, and that first trailer I thought was just it just gave me a lot of hope for humanity.
Yeah.
In such a dark time, and And I'm just like, we saw the Superman with Henry Cavill that was like the dark and the brooding, and which I thought he was good.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
go sound?
yeah. We're good.
And I'm really excited. James Gunn, I think, just takes really good care of his characters. I think that is. I think he'll do a good job with Superman. I think that's my most anticipated. But on people's lists, on people's lists are one called Mickey 17.
Oh, Mickey 17, Bong
Yeah.
Joon-ho. I
Yeah, yeah.
am stoked for
Okay,
that.
okay.
I am.
That's on a lot of people's lists. It was supposed, and while we're talking about Mickey 17, my most anticipated movie for this year, 2 years ago, was supposed to be The Batman Part 2. You haven't checked out The Batman, right? You've watched The Batman.
Oh, I love that.
Okay.
Chris Reeves as Batman, I don't consider like a superhero movie.
Matt Reeves.
Yes, Chris
Yeah.
Reeves was Superman.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
Matt Reeves.
Matt Reeves.
Okay.
Chris Reeves was Christopher Reeves.
Yes, he was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Matt Reeves, I don't consider his movies like a superhero movie.
Yeah.
Technically, there's a superhero, but
Technically, yeah.
I digress. Continue.
It was supposed to be The Batman Part 2, but obviously I got delayed again. So we'll see if it ever comes out. I hope it does because it's going to be amazing. But on a lot of people's lists, it's Mickey 17. That's the most anticipated. You get the superhero movies like Superman, the Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, Mickey 17's in there. The new the final supposedly the final Mission Impossible is coming out this year. The Final Reckoning.
Oh yes, okay.
Jurassic World, the reboot that's supposed to be R-rated is coming out this year. But those are mainly the ones that are populating people's lists. Oh, and then Sinner, the new movie with that director. Who's that director? I'm forgetting his name right now.
Well, Michael B. Jordan.
Yes,
He's the cast. The director. Did he
movies.
direct that too?
No.
Ryan Coogler.
Yes.
Ryan Coogler.
The director of Black Panthers, and so yes, those are.
Which looks interesting. I do want to see that.
Okay, I figured.
I'm just looking at all of this list. Like I'm going through Mickey 17 for sure. Let's see, Jurassic World Rebirth. I have not been in love with the Jurassic World direction since the original Jurassic World re-release. First one was fantastic. The other one's just
total garbage. Yep,
total shit. But this Rebirth, I don't know. I just feel like I've got some excitement for it.
Well, it's R-rated, so
is it?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, supposedly.
Hey.
Supposedly.
Good. They're gonna take that shit serious. Great. This is great news, everyone. For those of you just listening, I'm looking at the camera. This is great news. 28 years later.
Oh! I can't. That was gonna be so good.
I am very excited for that.
That's gonna be so good.
And
I'm not a big horror guy, but 28 Days Later was one of my favorite horror movies growing up.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, bro, you gotta see it. It's good.
I know. What? You're a fucking filmmaker and you haven't seen that shit? Yes.
They'll probably talk shit on you online.
So it's on my list, people.
28. Oh, that's gonna be good.
So piss off until then, with love, of course. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep scrolling through here to look at these. The Accountant 2. I want to see The Accountant 2 because I really enjoyed that one. That was Ben Affleck.
And it's got John Bernthal in it. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So I am looking forward to that. Ballerina, Ana de Armas, John Wick spinoff. Fuck yeah!
Oh, that's true. I still haven't seen the John Wicks.
Shut
I
up!
haven't seen the John Wicks. I tried to watch them on a
Ever?
plane. No.
Not even the first.
Oh, I had seen the first. There's no one I saw. But the other ones, there's 4 of them, right? Well, I can watch them. We can talk about it. I'm watching Game of Thrones at this moment.
I'm so excited.
The
for
people
him.
that are listening on either way, whatever platform you're listening on, and I'll get the names. Be patient with me. But the redheaded girl, Sophia Turner, she just got told by some squirrely guy about how the Hound got his scars. That's the last thing that happened. I think it's season 1, episode 5. That's where I'm at,
bro.
So.
Good shit.
So we can talk about. I'll watch the John Wicks and we can talk about it. Maybe we can watch them together. Have a movie night,
dude.
Order some chicken wings to the house.
I'd be down.
Okay.
I'd be down.
Okay, let's do it.
All right.
I like how
all
this
right,
is
I got a plan.
playing out.
So Ballerina, very excited for that. I'm just gonna keep scrolling through here and just even if this takes.
Yeah, name them off. Yeah.
Mortal Kombat 2.
Ooh, yep.
I really like the beginning of the first one, the one that came out a couple years ago. then it kind of tapered off for me.
But when
Like,
Sub-Zero showed up and started I was like, this
oh
is
man!
good.
But the whole opening scene,
Yes.
holy shit balls!
Oh, that was good, yep.
Wow. Happy Gilmore 2, that should be fun.
Yeah, I'll see that.
You're not excited.
Well, I feel like Adam Sandler kind of turned a corner with how his career went. When is the last time he's been in a comedy?
Oh, he's been in a ton.
Since when?
Dude, go look him up.
He's doing gangster shit now.
Look, he did Uncut Gems, but he's been in. Look, while I'm naming these, you go look at some.
He's done comedies recently?
Yes. Yes, look it up while I finish this thing.
Are they all on Netflix?
Yeah, because he's got like a big deal with Netflix or
Okay.
something.
Okay.
Tron Ares, I am looking forward to that. I'm a huge Tron fan, so that's cool. Warfare, which is Alex Garland's new thing since Civil War. So I'm very excited about that. F1 with Brad Pitt. I'm looking forward to that.
I did like Hustle.
Predator Badlands. Definitely want to see that. Ooh, there's a Return of the Living Dead. What? I need to look at this list more often. Well, more often. I've never looked at it at all.
You were like, I don't even know what's going out there.
So I just need to be more in touch with this. Okay, so I just looked at. I'll go to 150. I just hit 100 as I'm scrolling. Bambi: The Reckoning. Oh,
It's gonna be a horror
hit
short,
public
right?
domain.
Yeah.
So it's
That's going to be trash. You know that's going to be trash. It's like the Winnie the Pooh horror movie was
after
trash.
a mother and son get in a car wreck, they soon become hunted by Bambi, a mutated, grief-stricken deer on a deadly rampage seeking revenge for the death of his mother.
I'd rather watch Cocaine Bear again. Cocaine Bear was actually pretty good. Did you see Cocaine Bear?
I did.
It was good, right?
It was okay. It was. I mean, for what it was, sure. Yeah. Nobody 2. I do want to see that. I like Saul Goodman. Better Call Saul.
I know the actor. I can't think of his name either.
Wow, why can't I think of his name?
Isn't it something like it's a weird last name, right? It's Saul Goodman. It's Better Call Saul.
Wow, I can't. It'll come to me. Halloween Aftermath. Those have just gone downhill.
Freaky Friday 2, baby. That's gonna be good. Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis are back. Freaky Friday 2. That's gonna be some good shit.
Oh, they're back.
They're back, bro. And Freaky Friday is one of my favorite Disney movies growing up, and they are back. Lindsay Lohan comeback tour continues, bro.
Interesting.
That's something we should talk about too. Is how like Lindsay Lohan's story to me is so tragic to where Hollywood just ruined that kid. Like you watch her in The Parent Trap, and then you watch her when she's like 18, 19. That's a whole different person. I love The Parent Trap. That is one of my favorite movies with Lindsay Lohan where she's acting.
Oh, it's so good.
So good. And you watch her kind of grow up in
really
Hollywood,
is.
and it's so sad what Hollywood did to that kid.
I do have a good memory of Parent Trap. I watched it often, and it is very sad. But the comeback that she's
comeback is on. We're Lindsay Lohan fans on this podcast. There will be no Lindsay Lohan slander on the Locked Off Logic podcast.
No. None. So
also one of my secret like pleasure movies of all time is Mean Girls. I love Mean Girls.
Yes.
I think everybody loves Mean Girls. There's not one person on this planet that does not love. I think there's 2 movies on this planet that everybody can universally agree on are 2 amazing movies: Mean Girls and I Am Legend.
I Am Legend was pretty good.
I think everybody on earth would be like, at least but both those movies, people would say those are 2 good movies.
I won't go into my thoughts on
Mean Girls.
No.
I Am Legend.
Will Smith.
Oh, that's a whole different podcast. But we should talk about it.
Okay, there was one in here that I just saw that I was like, oh, I'm going to say this. Where'd it go? Oh, you're talking about Parent Trap and blah, 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 blah. I was just on a shoot yesterday, my own thing, and one of the people, it was kind of some behind the scenes thing for a new movie coming out called The Last Rodeo. And it has John Avnet, who's the director. So he directed Fried Green Tomatoes and He's been in a ton. He's been a part of a lot of movies. All growing up, like his movies, I've had a interaction with, like whether it was a producer or executive producer, or whatever. The Mighty Ducks, all the Mighty Ducks, Inspector Gadget, just like all of these old movies and classics growing up. Fried Green Tomatoes. Anyways, it was when you said that The Parent Trap, I was like, oh man, like that was one of the movies in my childhood, and all of those movies had significant impact, you know. So that was kind of fun. But okay, I'm scrolling up here. I'm also trying to say less ums and likes because I went back and I listened to one of our last podcasts, and and I was like,
no, bro, I don't get that vibe from you. But if you saw it, then it happens.
yeah.
So it's a good thing for all of us.
So Dracula, A Love Tale. I've never heard of it. There's not even a photo for it. It's probably not going to be great.
I was gonna let's table the pick your movie you're gonna do. Let's table the disappointment in the cinema. The one we can do that next time, the next podcast. Your most disappointing cinema experience when it came to the film you watched.
ADD, y'all. ADD.
ADD? Well, okay, let's get into it. What's ADD?
Oh no, well, attention deficit disorder.
Okay,
like,
table that. Table. Okay.
I was like,
table
you had two questions.
Table disappointment.
I dove into this one.
No,
question
good.
hard.
This is a good one. Let's table that one. I was gonna ask you what you thought of Sundance, but you didn't get to go this year because you were working.
I went to a networking event at like 10 p.m. one night, which was fun, but also I'm getting old.
10 p.m.'s late, man. 10 p.m. I'm starting to put the kitchen to bed.
Yes, put the kitchen to bed, man.
At 10 p.m. I'm putting the kitchen to bed.
No, I hope I'm asleep by 10. I would love to be in bed by 8:30.
Yeah.
Especially if I get up at 4:50. But that's a thing.
This is my first year going to Sundance.
How was it?
It was good. I want to go back again next year to have a better experience. Not that it wasn't bad. The parking sucked, which I was not prepared for. Definitely.
I think I told you about that.
The parking?
Yeah.
Did you?
I'm pretty sure. I was like, I'm pretty sure we had this conversation because I was like, you need to figure out your schedule because
you did.
Yes.
Yep, you did.
Because there's like no parking, you have to shuttle, and if you book something over at this location and then you go to another showing at this location.
You're right. You did tell me that. Yep.
Sometimes that's a trek across the planet.
Yeah, and you did tell me that. I did. I only went one movie a day for only 2 days, so it wasn't that big a deal for me as far as like planning out the schedule. But it was my first time to Sundance, and I did not anticipate the parking situation there. Or when you find parking, how much they charge you for it.
$60.
I went to two showings.
That's worth it.
I don't. I'd rather park at the Maverick and walk, bro. I'd rather park at the Maverick and walk. But I saw two showings. We can talk about them later if we want. I saw Predators and I saw Last Days.
Oh, Predators.
Predator. It was good in the showing, but the more I thought about it, the less I like it.
I think I got excited because I thought it was like the Alien Predator.
No, it's a study on like the Chris Hansen phenomenon where it comes to Predators, of why people like it. And it's interesting because like you are watching people's lives unravel in front of your eyes when these predators show up that they think you're going to rape a kid and they end up finding Chris Hansen. Like you are watching somebody's life get destroyed like on live TV.
Yeah,
but they're predators. So in the showing, I think it was trying to be a little more sympathetic toward them. But the more I've thought about it, the more I'm like, no, these people showed up. They thought they were going to be able to rape a 16-year-old girl or a 9-year-old boy, and they got caught. Screw them. So the more I thought about it, the less I like it. And then I went to a show called The Last Days, which is a movie that was made by the director of one of the Fast and the Furious movies about that kid who tried to go to like North Sentinel Island and got killed by the people that live there, went to go preach the gospel there and got killed. I really liked that movie, but I didn't finish it. I had to leave early because with some of the new policy stuff going on around the world, someone from the foundation had a little emergency. I had to leave. I had to leave with like 40 minutes left. And I was kind of bummed, but because it was a really good movie.
Yeah.
I paid a good amount of money to go to it, but when work calls. But I really enjoyed that film. And I was bummed I didn't go see Omaha because that seems like it's the one that was taken.
It's been popping.
Yeah. And it's sold out. That's why I didn't get to go. Anyway, so most anticipated.
Most anticipated. to be honest, it's hard. Mickey 17, I'm really excited for, and 28 years later, Frankenstein, Guillermo del Toro. I think it's slated for November of this year.
That's going to be good,
which
I think.
should be pretty great.
Christian Bale is being Frankenstein, right?
Oh, I don't know. Is that
I'm
it?
pretty sure he is. Google it real quick before we go on to the topic of discussion. Because I think there's a photo that came out of Christian Bale as Frankenstein, and I almost shit my pants in anticipation. Because he is another actor that, if he's in anything, I'll probably see it.
It was just right here. Where did it go?
Christian Bale, Frankenstein.
There was a link to it though. Oh, there's another. I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yes.
Oh.
Christian Bale, Frankenstein. Christian.
No, that looks like Oscar Isaac.
Is it?
Oscar Isaac plays mad scientist.
Yes.
Victor Frankenstein.
Frankenstein's monster.
Oh.
Frankenstein's monster. Look, there it is, right there. Frankenstein's monster is Christian Bale, bro.
Oh.
That's going to be good.
With Oscar Isaac, okay.
He's the doctor. He is Frankenstein himself. Because there's a misconception. There is Frankenstein the doctor, and there's Frankenstein's monster. Two totally separate characters. And Frankenstein's monster is Christian.
Now you know, Locked Off Logic.
Locked Off Logic exclusive. This is going to be a good movie, I think. Christian Bale's in this. I mean, Christian Bale almost salvaged Thor Love and Thunder. Almost. Because of his performance as Gore the God Butcher. Almost. And so if you can put Christian Bale in a movie as total garbage as Thor Love and Thunder, and it almost be watchable because of Christian Bale, you know this movie's going to be good.
I still love you though, Taika. Keep making movies. I know you got canceled. I know you got put in director jail.
Bro. That was going to be my answer for the most disappointing cinema experience. I went into that movie being like, Thor.
That was this year?
No, not most disappointed.
Oh, ever.
Most disappointed. Because I went into that Thor Love and Thunder, buff Thor, even buffer than before, Thor that's been through Infinity War Thor, and Christian Bale, Gore the God Butcher, like this traumatized individual that's been screwed by the gods and he's going to fight a god. To go into that and to get screaming sheep and goats and just nonstop humor and riffs. Yeah, I'm like, what is this, bro? Like, and then they tried to like pull a Logan at the end where like we're gonna empower these kids to fight back, and it just didn't work. Where it just didn't work. It was just awful. And that was my point. Most disappointed.
I just had a movie come to my mind about disappointed.
Let's do it.
It's probably not the most disappointed, but I just thought, oh yeah, Alita Battle Angel.
Oh yeah, that was.
I was so excited by the trailer. I was so excited, and it just was really disappointing. I mean, Jennifer Connelly was the best thing for sure in that movie.
My question for one of the next episodes is going to be, what is a trailer that's got you most hype? So think about that. Don't tell me now.
Oh, the Logan trailer.
Really? Of all time?
Probably.
Okay, let's talk about it now. It's our podcast. We never won. Really? The Logan trailer? Okay, the Logan trailer did get me hyped.
Fucking hyped. Fucking, you get the Marvel logo and you hear Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
And then it shows fucking old man Logan. Are you kidding me?
Okay, yeah. Okay, yes. I
hurt myself today.
That was a
Bro, I'm getting the chills thinking about that shit.
There's so many good trailers. I was thinking about this at the gym the other day. Like, when I first watched the Star Wars Last Jedi trailer, I almost ran through a wall, bro. This is before like Rian Johnson. It was like controversial to like Rian Johnson because he had made The Last Jedi. But at that moment, all the secrets that you were left hanging with after the first Star Wars Episode 7.
The Force Awakens.
And like that trailer, I was almost running through a wall. But I think the most hype I think I've ever been for a trailer is probably, this is gonna be super cliche, but my superhero people online will support this, was Spider-Man No Way Home. That trailer when it first came out and you heard like the goblin laugh, the goblin bomb go off, Dr. Octopus's arms come out. And this is before they showed all the 3 Spider-Man, but we all knew it was coming. But just like that, and seeing these characters from our childhood come back in this specific way as a potential team up, I watched that trailer probably 1,000 times.
I don't remember that trailer.
Oh, baby, I'll send it to you again.
But I do remember loving the movie.
Yes. Yeah.
That was, it got me.
Oh yeah, even still it
Holy
does.
shit.
The nostalgia in it, and like I'm not a huge fan of people applauding in the theater. We've talked about this. I thought the movie was well done because it got the nostalgia. It got like Tobey Maguire's back.
I got the chills.
But that was a Peter Parker story, Tom Holland, and what it cost Tom Holland, like because the thing that I liked about the movies the most was like he had his bud, he had Ned, he had Mary Jane, and he lost that, and he lost that maid. They freaking killed that maid. Freaking William Dafoe.
Tobey Maguire.
No, Tom Holland, the Peter Parker, like in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That was his movie. Like, yeah, you brought in Tobey Maguire.
Oh, sure.
You brought in Andrew Garfield, and they had like moments where it was like there was the trauma those characters experienced were brought back. Like when Andrew Garfield saves Mary Jane.
Oh, bro,
and you're like, you were this close, man. You were this close. You got to save. But like, that was a Tom Holland story. But I tell you, the real star of that movie was William Dafoe. William Dafoe was a deviant in that movie. Like he came back as Green Goblin in full force, and the best choice that they ever, because like
remember this,
dude. You watch it again, and like the best choice that director made for No Way Home was removing Green Goblin's mask, because William Dafoe looks like a goblin, and when he is allowed to act, not just with his voice but with his face, like he is a deviant. He is a deviant, man. There's a scene in No Way Home where he's fighting the Green Goblin. He's hitting his face, being like, and Goblin is laughing at him.
I'm remembering this.
Defoe's like, that's how you're hitting me? And like this Spider-Man, he's gone up against Thanos, bro, on Titan. And his face, like he's hitting Thanos pretty hard. And honestly, you're fighting Thanos, so it's a different thing. But he's fighting Goblin. He's not making a dent, and Goblin's laughing at him. Like I think, like the way the acting in that movie was like, this is not my usual foe here. Like this man is a deviant, and this man is kicking my ass, and I'm giving him everything I've got, and I'm not doing anything against this guy. And the trailer for that, back to our original discussion, it hyped me so much when I heard that Goblin bomb come off. I'm like, William Dafoe, he's back.
I'm starting to remember that now.
Yeah, watch it again. I think you'll get hyped again.
Oh man, bro, yeah. Well, I'm sure there's other trailers that I've been so pumped about, but Logan was
another level.
Another level. It was. The anticipation for that was just so good. I don't know if I can think of another trailer that I have just been so blown away by or just so pumped.
Yeah.
I really can't think of one. But immediately I'm like, Logan.
Oh, if that's your first answer, that's what it was. That's what it is.
So yeah, anyway, so those are my answers.
Well, it gives us to a good segue too, because remember when I just given this girl my number at Jim's, but she never texted me back. Come on. I thought we had a connection.
That's
but
right. She was a hottie.
She was a hottie. And
Kayla?
Yeah, Kayla, if you're listening to this at Jim's, please call me back. Come on.
And if you don't,
call him back.
Call me.
Call him back.
By the way, I haven't gone back in.
I'm a little ashamed. Like, remember me? You gave my number. You never text me back. I gave it to her. It was all. I wrote her on a crayon and everything. But anyway, a trailer that got me hyped was the Last of Us 2 trailer that we watched in that parking lot.
Oh, that's right.
That thing had me hyped because the people that know, they know. And we talked about this, like, what happens in Last of Us Season 2. But that trailer, the first one too, when it had the remix of Future Days from Pearl Jam, and just the stuff, and it's almost like they didn't deviate much from the stuff that goes on in the games, and it just got me hyped, and it gets me even more hyped for this conversation we're about to have.
Well, let me put a pause on that really quick.
Okay.
Not to just elongate our opener here, but
it's a big opener. Let's keep talking.
Come on. Anyways, I just been thinking about the podcast. And it's been a month. It's January 31st. We're officially a month into making this podcast. We've recorded. This is our 7th episode.
Yep. This will
come out not. I mean, this is January, but when you hear this, it's going to be like March.
Yeah. Yep. It'll be right before the new season comes out of The Last of Us.
So, but I've been thinking about the podcast, and I've gone back and I've listened to a couple of them. I don't like to do that because then I just nitpick and that's just my work across general is like, unless I love it, then I'll just watch it over and over and over again. And you're like, you're a narcissist. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
But anyways, and I've just been like, cool. 1 month in, this is episode number 7. We're doing it, right? And that's cool. And it's something that I have found a lot of joy in looking forward to this year.
Oh, yes.
I remember
Saved my life this month, bro. I tell you, January has sucked. 2025, you are not off to a good start. But the Locked Off Logic podcast has been a highlight for me.
Well, and I have to admit, it's been a fantastic month for me, and I just been feeling pretty good overall. I'm feeling today has been what we talked about earlier before this, which the world doesn't need to know, but today I was like, fuck you to the world. But in overall, I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling really grateful. And one of the things I've been very grateful for is the podcast, because it's something I look forward to. And there's times when I like, there it is. It's okay. It's something that and that was one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast, was so that I can improve my ability to speak. And so going back and listening, and I'm going, okay, here's areas where I can improve speaking, and eliminating those things and trying to keep better train of thoughts. So there's a lot of things where I'm like, cool, this is how I am, and here's where I want to improve, and here's how I need to do it. And I just need to be more aware of it, but not trying to think about it so much that it then derails what I'm trying to talk about. So anyways, I have just been really grateful for the podcast. It's something I've looked forward to whenever we've done episodes. And I'm excited about the future of it, because we were just like, let's just do this. And we'll see where it goes, what happens. But we just want to do it for fun. We already talk about this stuff all the time, so why not just record and have a conversation? So I've just been really excited about what's next, and even just going back and listening to a couple of them. And it's in my garage. It's not a controlled environment that's like perfect. And while it's fun, it's like, okay, a studio setting could be better typically for a podcast, right? A car just drives by. I don't know if any of you guys heard that.
Loud car.
That was a loud, yes.
But it was on cue, like right when you were talking about it. Like it's very real. It's very genuine.
You know, it's just kind of raw, and it's unpolished. And there's something that's nice about that, of just like letting it go and not trying to be a perfect looking product or a perfect sounding product. Though sound actually is important. There's a lot of things people forgive. Bad sound is not one of them.
Well, we just made a big investment in that, baby.
We've been making strides on that, and honestly, it hasn't been bad. There's just been improvements that could have been made. They've been made, and there's only going to be improvements down the road, and we're only in month 1. So it's been fun. Like, the podcast's been fun. Thanks for everybody for coming and hanging out in the garage, doing garage talk with me and Tyler, and just shooting the shit and hearing us blabber about the things that we love and that get us excited, and the stories that are inspiring to us, and the people that we find inspiring that we have talked to or had on the podcast.
Yeah.
So anyways, I just wanted to take a moment in the beginning and say it's been a fun month 1, and excited for more to come, and how it's going to shape and what it's going to look like and whatnot. So thank you for all of the work that you've done to put into this, and for helping it get off the ground and being consistent and persistent with the intention of doing it. So,
well, man, pleasure's mine. You know, I've always loved spending time with you, and I love the stuff that we talk about. Like, even just I learn new things. I love that our opinions, like when we get hyped about the same thing, I really get excited about that. When we get hyped about different things, that also gets me excited, because sometimes it's like you get me hyped for something I wasn't hyped about, like Game of Thrones. Now I'm hyped. And now I'm hyped. And I know the same thing will happen with you in Daredevil. Mark my words, superhero fans. I'm like, Daredevil will have you hyped, because it's good. And it just, I mean, life's hard, like it's a brave new world that we're living in. I think that there's going to be some really good things in the future. There's also going to be some things that are really hard, I think, for people that we both care about. And, having this podcast and talking about like these stories, the stories that we talk about, the people that we bring on, it's been like a place for me where like some of the struggles that happen in the world. There's two things that happen to me is that I'm able to come to your garage, open up a drink, hang out with somebody I deeply care about, and talk about stories I deeply care about. That is an escape for me, dog. Like, oh man, it's so great. But at the same time, you talk about these stories, it helps me put into perspectives shit that I'm already dealing with. I'm sure there's stuff that you're dealing with too. And it helps me, like, I don't know if find solutions is the right word, but find meaning in some of the stuff that we're going through. And so just thank you to you. Thank you to our audience. Thank you to Locked Off Logic podcast. Because it's been a good ride, man.
Yeah. Well, and just to piggyback on that last thing that you just said, like, it's helped bring meaning. And that's something that I've always like, what's the meaning behind this? What's the meaning behind this? Why even does this, why do we live in this world? What's the point of it all? This has brought some meaning, at least instead of going, well, what's the meaning behind this? It's, well, I'm going to try and bring meaning to this. And so it's been nice. It's been nice.
Yeah.
So month one,
man. It's funny you bring that up because there's two things, and then I'll use this to segue into our topic. There's tomorrow on our social media for people, this will be delayed, but there's a trailer that's coming out on our Instagram and stuff of like highlights of month one. And I'm looking forward to month two.
really?
Yeah. It's this little trailer.
Cool.
Yeah. It's a little summary, so it's cool. Thank you, CapCut, for your.
This
free
is the shit I'm
product.
talking about. Thank you for all the work that you do on the other end to do this, because I don't. As you know, I like don't do social media anymore.
Yep. Which is
I'm like, fuck you to social media. Even though maybe I'm the problem and I just can't find a healthy relationship with it. Anyways, I hijacked that. Thank you.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. I like doing it because I like, it's a creative outlet for me to where I get to watch the highlights again of like our podcast, and like today I was listening to a story about someone that we both know and love deeply that's part of the foundation that lives here in Utah, and how we talked about correlated her story with one of the X-Men movies of it's not your pain, it's not their pain you're afraid of, it's your own. And how there's 2 million kids out there being abused. We can't save them all, but we could save one, and that one is such a badass. And I forgot that we talked about that. And then we had an experience with her later at a dinner, and I'm just like, so it's good. It's a good creative outlet for me, and it really gets me hyped for like the stuff that we get to segue into of the stories and the meaning we find behind the stories. Because with The Last of Us, there's just it's a story that we both get really hyped about.
Yeah.
This is something where it's like there was no Sam had to kind of convince me to get into Arcane, which people that listen to the podcast, we've already talked about Arcane at this point. I hope that you're watching it too. It's a great series.
And we may revisit that as well as
it's our
things.
podcast. We can do whatever the hell we want.
Even we might come back to do another Last of Us.
We definitely will. Because this story.
Technically, this is 2 weeks in a row. Last of Us. Last of Us Part 2, and then.
Yeah,
now
chronologically.
Yeah.
I'm sure that we'll be back after we watch The Last of Us because we're gonna have stuff. But this story is meant, I think, so much to both of us for such a long time that there's a sacredness about it. Not just because it means so much to you and I. And if you guys go into our house is littered with symbols of The Last of Us. I mean, The Last of Us has a symbol like on my body. Like it's marked on my body forever. Like, Mom, if you're listening, sorry, I have a tattoo.
Remind me where this one is.
It's on my back.
That's right.
It's on my back.
The matching one.
Yeah, the matching tattoo. And
which is a cool story.
It is a cool story. Maybe I'll share it.
You should share it.
Okay, I'll share it. It's a sacred story, not just for us, you and me as individuals, but for so many people across the world. Because The Last of Us means so much, so many different people that there's like a reverence, like when you talk about it. Because I've never met one person that does not like The Last of Us. I have friends that I'm sure you do that did not play the video games but watched the series and they were like, "This is awesome." like there is something with this story to where like I'm finding hope in a place that I should not find hope in. I'm like you look at your hat now. It's like when you're in the darkness, look for the light. That's kind of like what we're all doing as humans, and what we're all kind of doing when we're in The Last of Us. Because there are times in The Last of Us Part One specifically where you're just like, man, this is rough. Like this is hard to get through. But you just keep going. You just keep going. You just keep finding something else to care about in this series, in the story, and but it starts you off this story, and it's like the intro because it has 4 seasons. We'll talk about the 4 seasons. We'll talk about summer, fall, winter, and spring. But before summer, there's the intro, and like I don't know about you, but the first time I played through the intro and the way the intro ends, I was like, the show. I thought the show did a better job in the video game of giving you context of how we led up to this pandemic. Like the scene with like the biologist. Like there's a TikTok that I love where it's like, I hated the opening of The Last of Us episode 1 because it scared the real life fuck out of me. Because the guy explained the science behind the virus so well that it's like, this is scaring the living shit out of me. This is real. This could be, there's like fungus like this that actually exists, and the earth is getting warmer as we speak. I'm scared. And I thought the series just did a really good job, the video game and the series. So I'm just curious, is like you played the game, you watched the series, you played through it. What did you think of the intro?
So, well, as you were saying that, my mind went back to your question of what trailer were you pumped about? And when the trailer for The Last of Us Part 2 video game, not the movie trailer, I got fucking hyped as shit.
Yep.
With that, Ellie's just sitting on the bed playing the guitar, and there's like these inner cuts and stuff. Oh, so good. Sorry, my brain just squirrel.
No, this is ADD, right?
ADD. Yeah, so, okay, and now that you're saying that, and I bought The Last of Us on Blu-ray this week to try and watch it all, even though it's on streaming. I like to watch it. I like to do physical media, y'all. Physical media, y'all. I didn't get to watch it, so I haven't refreshed. So my brain is going, well, what's the fucking intro?
Well, I can tell you, and it will refresh it right away.
Yes.
So the intro, it opens up with Sarah, and it's Joel's birthday.
Shit.
Let me give you a quick rundown summary. I'm gonna give it to you. And
I remember. I know the intro.
Okay, so she got the watch. The whole opening scene, they're trying to get her to consume some flour. The pancakes, nobody eats, thank God. She didn't eat the cookies because they were raisin and not chocolate chip. Grandma eats the cookies though. Grandma eats the flour. Joel goes to work. He comes back. She fixes the watch, and the world ends. Take it from there.
Okay, so and this is the show.
Both. You can whatever you want.
But the video game is not that detailed.
No. So what I just described, it is the show. Yeah. You can bounce around if you'd like, because even though they're similar, there are some differences, and we'll bounce around a little bit specifically when it comes to the summer. But the intro, like for me, I was shook. I was like, "You're gonna fucking put me through that?" For one, I'm stressed out of my mind because you're playing as Sarah when all this is going down.
Yes.
And like there's sounds, there's creaks. And I bought this game because I thought it was a zombie game, which it is, kind of. And the whole sequence of the game, I'm stressing out because you're playing as Sarah. And the TV show that gives you the pretext, like a couple different episodes, like how the fungus originated, where it came from, and then Joel and Tommy pick up Sarah. The airplane crashes, and you're playing the video game for an hour and a half, and as in this family in the TV show, you're really connected with Sarah and Joel and Tommy as a family, because you just know that Sarah has Joel and Joel has Sarah, and that's it. That's all they've got. And at the end of the intro, Sarah's taken away, like she's shot and killed, and Joel is left picking up the aftermath of his reason of surviving in this world. And I remember they portrayed it so well in the TV show because they spent an hour and a half on that in episode 1. And the video game, I just couldn't believe that they had done that. I'm like, wow, y'all this is really sad.
And it was very quick in the video game.
Yes, and there's no time to mourn. There's no time, you just move on. Which I guess you have to in this world, but like there's no Logan funeral. There's no nothing. It just the screen goes black and it just says in the TV show it says 20 years later, and the video game it says summer.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I appreciate about the show versus the video game is they take a little bit more time in those details. Uh, adapting it to the screen as a television show. So I think when you watch the show, you get a quicker attachment to, well, one, Sarah, but then Joel, right? You have this enormous empathy towards Joel right off the bat after first episode. You get that feeling from with the game, but like you said, it moves so fast, and really the game, you fall in love with Joel as a character throughout the game because he's like rough. He's rough, right? He gets this. Ellie doesn't want really anything to do with this because there's a pain that's involved there, but he starts to warm up and he starts to grow and like love her as his own daughter. But that takes the 12 hours you're playing through the game to get to that point. You get to that point in episode 1 of the TV show where there's just this hole now that is gaping for Joel, and you went through that with him. You really didn't get to experience that with him very much in the game. So it's all there. So the intro to the show is very well planned and paced, and it just sets up the level of emotional
Damage,
uh,
trauma.
like emotional intimacy
Oh, okay,
of this
yeah.
of this world, of this story, of caring for life,
Yeah,
when now life is the very thing that's in jeopardy moving forward.
because it's a very cruel world. Like when they move in to summer, right? When you move into summer, you're kind of introduced to who the main characters are, and who the main players are, at least in this section of the world. There's Fedra, who is basically like the makeshift government they've put together, and they're somewhat organized, but also not, because some factions are like a little more Nazi than the other ones. But the Fedra in Boston, they seem to have a semi grip on what they're doing, as long as you don't cross them. Then they turn into the Nazis. But even then, like life to them, like when the little kid shows up in the TV show and he's infected, I mean, they kill him, and then Joel shovels his body into whatever they're shoveling their bodies into. So you get introduced to Fedra, and then you get introduced to the Fireflies, who are like this rebel group, these revolutionaries that are trying to take down the government and build up something better, because whatever filled the government's place was something that they were not okay with. And you're kind of introduced to these two characters. You're introduced to Tess, and you're introduced to Joel. And the Joel that you spent time with in episode 1 or the intro is so different. I mean, 20 years later, I mean, he is.
He's a survivor.
He's a survivor. He's selling drugs on the side. He's found this person that, like, we think that they're a couple. They're obviously, their lives are intertwined. Him and Tess, they're very close. Even like the game. Like I went and played the game this last year and then watched the series recently. I don't know if they're a couple per se, but they're close. They do things that a couple do, but they never confirm that they're actually dating. But you can tell that they care about each other. And they do what they got to do to survive. Yeah. And
they're numb.
And their whole focus is on just their relationships, right? Like that is the most important thing to them. Because the whole episode before Ellie comes into play between Joel and Tess is the acquisition of an engine or a car. In the TV show, it's an engine because Tommy is gone. Tommy's gone to Wyoming, and Joel misses Tommy. Joel misses the person that he can count on, the person that he has to protect, the person that he has to take care of. Because that's where Joel finds meaning, is finding someone to protect. And one of the people that he has to protect is gone. Tommy went. He's somewhere else. He's with the Fireflies. He ran away, and he's looking to get that person back. And you're introduced into this world. It's violent, and people are holding on to life and the people that care about them. And then Ellie comes in. She comes crashing in like a ton of bricks.
Yeah. And I will say one thing that I think that this game and show does is it it's very violent, it's very harsh, and yet there is a level of like love that is so deep and profound in the darkest of environments. And like you said earlier, there's kind of a sacredness about it. There is a sacredness about it, and at least for me, and this relationship with Joel and Ellie. I mean, even so much so to the fact that I want a daughter, and I want to name her Ellie Joel,
That's cool.
and that is like a conversation I'm going to have with whoever I'm dating or partnered with into marriage or having a child with, where it's kind of like I'm going to lay down a few.
This is a non-negotiable.
This is a non-negotiable. If we have a daughter, she will be named Ellie Joel. If you have a problem with that, I will have a daughter with someone else.
Yeah. We'll have to make it work.
And when she grows up, I want to be the best of Joel for her. And I'm sure I will also be, to some degree, the worst of Joel. But my goal will be I want to be the absolute best of Joel for her and be a foundational piece that she can rely on and trust in and go to for support and protection and just be my little girl. You know, that's what this game and show has done for me over the years. Is I'm like, wow, if I had a daughter, I just want to love her the way Joel deep down inside loves her and wants to take care of her and protect her and show her the world, right? That for me, I never really had a desire to have a daughter before that. You know, I was always like, no, I want to have boys, you know? But now I'm like, fuck, I want to have a girl and she's going to be my little Ellie, you know? And so that's how much this game and story has infused for me it is in my time with it. And then the pressure cooker that it's in though. Oh, the game's so heavy. It's so heavy. And Last of Us 2 gets even heavier, but wow, what a complex relationship that these two exist in, but just in life in general. It's just this exploration of ups and downs of the people you love in a world that is falling apart and is hard, and you go through hard things and it's not fair, it doesn't make sense, but you have to press on. You have to press on. It reminds me of one of my favorite movies, World War Z, when Brad Pitt is the outbreak happens, they're moving along, they get into that first apartment complex, and there's that family that's holed up in that apartment, and they like let him in, and he's trying to tell them movement is life. Movement is life. You can't stay here. If you stay here, eventually this is going to get in and it's going to kill you. And then that does, right? Movement is life. And it's The Last of Us is the same way. Movement is life. If they are not moving forward in all of the shitstorm that's happening around them, they're gonna die to it. They're gonna succumb to it. And it's just been what was fascinating is in the show, it's a right, like you said earlier, you thought this was going to be a zombie video game, a zombie story, and to a degree, it is. They're in there,
Yeah,
but
it's like a human story with zombies included.
Yeah, and in the TV show, it's like there's like 2 episodes
Zombies
with zombies.
And it's a good. I was thinking about that where you're talking. like people have issues with that. It's like, well, in the game, you're just often clickers at every route, or often the hunters, or you have to fight the bloaters. And I was like, yeah, well, that's because it's a video game. You got to incorporate violence in there to keep you interested, to move the story along. In the TV show, you have a little bit more leeway with that, and I like that because I think it makes what happens at the end all that more impactful. Because the whole show, like, people fear Joel, right? Like in Frederick compound in Boston, people are like, well, you don't fuck with Joel. Like, please don't tell Joel that I screwed with you. Tex, please don't tell Joel it was me that beat you up. There's something about Joel that people are scared of. And throughout this journey, he gives little hints of how dangerous he can be, where he tells Ellie, it's like, yeah, I used to be one of those guys that tricked people into getting hurt, and I did bad things so that I could survive. Like, you get little hints of it. But you never see Joel the way he's described with people in that world, why people fear him, why people respect him, until the very end, until the Fireflies start screwing with Ellie, and he just wipes them out. And the Joel that became legend in Boston and throughout this whole game, that we know he is because we played with him in the video game, but the TV show, you get to see why Joel is Joel at the very end. But they kind of tease it out. They kind of tease it out where it's the clicker, with the clicker that ends up killing Tess, like they kind of struggle with those two clickers. Like they're in there for a long time, and Joel's kind of like, well, okay, where's Tess? Where's Ellie? Okay, now I can focus on the clicker. We don't really get to see Joel be Joel until the last episode. And I kind of like how they did that.
Yeah.
Like, well, I like this. Do I like the zombies that show up? Yeah, because they're creepy as shit, and they do add like this tension in this game and in this TV show. But I like they didn't let Joel go fully savage until he was put in a situation where he literally had no other choice.
Well, and what's so good about the show is, yeah, they really brought to the surface the heart of what the story is about. And the story is not about zombies, right? The zombies, the cordyceps, it's the plot. It's what happens along the way. And the plot exists, but it is not the focal point of the storytelling. And the focal point of the storytelling is these characters and their relationships with themselves and their relationships to the people around them. And that is life, right? Our lives is not just if you tell a story and I say, Tyler, well, what was your week last week? You're going to go, well, I did this and I went to here and I said this. And that's the plot, right? But that's not what you felt as you moved through those things actually, right?
Huh.
You had all sorts of feelings one way or another. Today, I went and I had an emergency, blah, 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 blah. It's like, well, what you felt through all of that was way more complex than just what I did was this. So that's what they did with the show is they took this vehicle, which is the cordyceps and this infection, and they're cool. Here's a zombie show, but that's not what the show is. The show is the relationship between grief and pain and joy and happiness and revenge and all of these things that make life so complex and rich and force you through it. Right? And the only way that you can experience those things is by being challenged. And it's a very challenging story, right? Emotionally. And they just really, I felt like, fleshed things out more in the show. Episode 3, I believe it was, with Bill.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
Which I loved. Let me interrupt you for just a second. I'll let you finish. But because that episode, like, they show you glimpses of hope throughout those first, like, in the summer, right? You fight the clicker, and you see the view of Boston. And Joel's, like, he has, like, this moment of compassion with Ellie, who he cannot stand at this point, because he sees, I think he's annoying to her, because he's like, so used to him and Tess being the team. She's there, she's present, she's not quiet. Never shuts up, not in the game and in the TV show.
Yeah.
And he's starting to be like, this kid reminds me a lot of my daughter. And he doesn't want that. He wants to bury it. He's become unfeeling because the circumstances around him have caused him to be that way. And they show you the view. They get y'all hopeful, and then Tess gets bit. And you're just like, God. And so this road trip is supposed to be a 3-way road trip, ends up being him and her, which I don't think he likes because he likes Tess, and at this point he does not want anything to do with Ellie because of her personality and also because of who he reminds him of or who she could potentially remind him of. He wants no part of feeling that hurt again.
Well, and Ellie wasn't even the reason he was leaving. Tommy was.
Tommy was. Ellie was his bank account to get him to where he needed to go.
Yep.
So everything now is more than he signed up for. The fireflies are dead where they found. He's like, well, I can't just leave this kid here. You got to come with me to go find Tommy because he'll know where the fireflies are, and then I'll get paid. But Tess, you kind of like, I really liked Tess, like especially like in the TV show. Tess was a badass. She called Joe out. She was compassionate and kind-ish to Ellie, and they kill her, and you're
she was the last bit of human for Joel.
Yes. Yeah.
That existed.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was replaced with Ellie.
Yep. And the Bill and Frank, the Bill series in the game was a hell of a lot of fun to play. That was one of my favorite parts. You could like dodge booby traps, there's clickers, there's hunters, there's whatever. And he is the worst kind of conspiracy theorist that you would find on Twitter, personified in a person. And the way they switched that in the video game and added just this amazing story of love. It's how those type of relationships, those homosexual relationships, should be portrayed. It doesn't feel like, when I just rewatched it, I didn't feel like The Last of Us was pushing an agenda on me.
No.
I didn't feel like they were trying to get me to vote a certain way with their point of view. They weren't repeating talking points that you hear on certain news sites. It was two people that loved each other and would do anything for each other.
And the base of it was just love.
Yes, and that's it.
That's it.
And they do stuff like there's one of the Frank is much more feminine than Bill. Like when he's like, I gave away one of your little guns to get these strawberries, and he was like, you did? Like he gets nervous about it. He's like, yeah, but it was one of those little ones, dude. And it's no big deal. Like I thought it was like, oh, that's so sweet. Like where he makes him this nice meal. They start to play the piano. Like I'm glad that the show took liberties with that story, because the Bill story, it's fun to play, but in the scope of things, it's very unconsequential to the overall plot.
Oh yeah.
But in the TV show, it's so consequential for two reasons. One is it shows you that there is hope to be found in this world, and it gives a preview of like, because you spend this whole hour episode with these two people that love each other, and then they die, obviously, and then Ellie and Joel show up to that house, and they're not quite there yet. Ellie obviously is starting to have some feelings of like, he could be fill my role of like a father I've always wanted, but he's still like, I'm just here, you're just around because you kind of have to be, and if you ask me one too many questions, I will shut up. I'll tell you how the plane fell, I'll tell you what these bodies are, but you start asking me if I want to hear a joke, the answer is no. Like that's where my limit stops. But you get a taste of like, there is something there is some kind of love that could happen. We just spent an hour with it, and how it can survive in this world. And these two characters, they're making progress.
And something that just crossed my mind is it's almost a precursor relationship. Like episode 3 is almost a precursor relationship that's telling you exactly how Joel and Ellie's story is going to go. They bump into each other. They're unsure about each other. They're both kind of weighing their options with each other, and then they start to grow on each other, right? And obviously very different types of grow, but love is still the central underlying theme here of caring for someone unconditionally in this harsh environment, right? And they have ups and downs and bumps and disagreements and whatever. And at the very end, what happens to Bill and Frank? Well, bad shit happens. And spoiler alert, bad shit happens.
It's the story of The Last of Us.
It really is, right? And episode 3, in a way, basically tells you the essence of what The Last of Us is, and the story of Ellie and Joel, and what's to come, what's to be expected in this world. and then they spend this whole hour and a half on this, which the story for all of this and Bill and Frank in the game, there's nothing
Nothing.
like this at all.
So it's not even really how it ends. Like
No.
Frank kills himself and leaves Bill because he can't deal with living with Bill anymore. Which I really liked how they flipped that because, I mean, I know people like this. I know you do too. The conspiracy theorists, like the preppers,
Yep.
that every time there's like a big war that starts, there's some kind of natural disaster, they get really excited because the stuff that they've been preparing for years, their bunker in the woods, their collection of guns, their food storage, are like, this is my moment. I was built for this moment. And they get really excited about it. And then everything is fine. And they end up getting disappointed. It's like, oh, I thought this was the end of the world. I thought I was going to be the winner of all this. And Bill is a survivalist or a prepper, whatever you want to call it. I think he uses both terms in the TV show where he's like, I'm not a prepper, I'm a survivalist. And it works. He's got his bunker. He escapes the Nazis. He's got his guns. He survives on Home Depot that he raids. He builds chicken, or he raises chickens. He grows strawberries. He's totally self-sufficient in this apocalypse. He's talking with Joe. He's got the gun on the table, and he's all conspiracy theory of like, I better have my gun on the table just in case. And he's similar to the character in the video game, but I feel like this story was needed, almost like a palate cleanser in the overall story they were telling in The Last of Us.
Yeah. And all of it's intentional. All of it is to serve the purpose of the telling of the story, right? And that's what I really appreciated about it was just so grounding in, here is the point of this world. Here is the point of this story that we're trying to tell. This is kind of the core of it. Is it's a very harsh world, but love can be found. Love can still exist. Life finds a way.
What is that off of?
Jeff Goldblum, Jurassic.
Oh my goodness, that's a good reference, bro. That comes from the cinephile right there.
Life finds a way.
Yeah.
And that's really what this is, you know. And what I really appreciate also is Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin. Sorry, Craig. You know,
I think it's Mason.
I've always mixed how to pronounce your name. Anyways, Craig is the showrunner for the show. Neil created and was behind The Last of Us. Neil and The Last of Us is so strong, you don't want to change the story at all. Like, you don't want to.
It's like the sacred timeline.
It's
you
like
want to touch it.
it's like
It's like the Bible. Like, please don't mess with it.
They announced the making of a show, and it's like, don't fuck this up, right? Don't change a thing.
Almost like a gun to your head, where it's like, this means so much to me. Don't you mess this up.
Don't you change this at all. It's perfect the way it is. And that's the way Neil went into this. He's like, I made a rule. We're not changing anything. We are staying true to this 100%. Unless it's better. And this is one of those things where it was, fuck yes, this is better. And and especially episode 3, it's like the beginning of the show. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to spend more time in this world, in this story, with these people.
Yeah.
And it was like such a W in the chat for, you know, this TV show moving forward. And it was like, after season 3 happened, I was like, I can be rest assured
that they know what they're doing.
Yep. And the rest of the show is going to be fucking amazing.
Yep. Yeah, and like like even like the next, because we're still in summer, the summer season of like the show, they go to Kansas City, they meet it's not Fedra because they just overthrown Fedra, but the Kansas City Fedra was like legit Nazi, rape, pillage, whatever, and these people overcame the Fedra of this town, overtook their town, and they meet Sam and Henry. And another change that was made in the show, in the game, Sam can speak. Sam, is that the one? Sam can speak. In the show, Sam is he's deaf. He just speaks in sign language. And I thought that was also a really awesome change that they made, because it just made me care about him a little bit more. I'm just like, he relies on this person. He relies on Henry. They're in this together. They're thrown into a really bad situation, and like this really like this what happened in Kansas City is not Joel and Ellie's fight.
Chills.
They
chills.
they just kind of stumble into it, you know. Like they come in, they meet the wrong people, they kill the wrong guy, and next thing you know, they got a whole town of freedom fighters looking for them, and they get connected with the only other person in this world that has a kid to look after, and they're just like, okay, well, I guess you're our people now. But at this point, you just really at this point, at least in the story for me, you spend time with Bill and Frank. You're like, oh, that's so beautiful. Like they're such a good relationship. They're such a good couple. They're just nice. You know, they're just nice and they care about each other. They live a good life together. And you really just start to appreciate why people cling to the ones that they love in this world. Because this world is shit. Like in Kansas City, I mean, Fedra and like this lady, like they killed her brother. She's making a whole scene because they killed her brother. She's trying to avenge people that she cared about. And like Joel and Ellie just stumble into a mess of a situation in Kansas City, and I think that the change that they made with Sam being deaf and speaking sign language was a really good change as well.
Yeah. Oh man, how heartbreaking is that?
Oh, dude, it was awful, and just because he's so pure, like the drawings that he was making of like himself as like this little superhero, and then I mean he's obviously scared shitless too because he knows that there's no food. He knows that that these people are hunting for them. So to make himself, he draws these superheroes, and his Henry, because he's this good dad or a good brother. I don't remember exactly what the relationship is. I believe they're brothers. I think.
I'm trying to remember myself.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
I'll look it up while you keep explaining it.
Because to help this little boy feel brave, he paints like a makeshift mask on his face, to where he spends when they're going through the underground and they're trying to get past Kansas City. Like this little kid, he's got this little, you know, like makeshift mask on his face. His caregiver drew on him, and it just makes
They're brothers.
They're brothers. Okay, that's what I figured.
Henry's older brother and acts as Sam's protector.
Okay, so they're brothers. They make their way with Joel and Ellie. They make it through the sniper. The horde comes. They survive the horde. They survive the bloater that finally shows up. It's ripping people apart. He rips people apart the way he does in the video game. And in this part of the show, I really think that Ellie, she finds her like sense of mission now, because they're with Sam, they're with Henry, and Joe, he's got to swallow some pride. He's like, look, we're going to Wyoming. If you guys want to come, you can. And he says it just, I don't know if he wants to or if it's a sense of duty, but he's like, if you guys want to come to Wyoming, you can. And Henry's like, yeah, it sounds great. Let's go to Wyoming. We got nowhere else to go. And Sam and Ellie have that conversation back and forth between like that 90s thing where you draw and you rip it up and you erase it and you share it back and forth. And he tells Ellie, he's like, I've been bit. Like, I'm scared. Like, I'm scared shitless right now. Look at this wound. And Ellie, I don't remember if she like cuts her hand or finger or something, but she takes her own blood and she wipes it in with the water heater.
My water heater. That's really that's loud as shit. That's the loudest it's ever been.
Why is it so loud?
I don't know. Hopefully, let me see if I talk.
Can you hear me okay?
Oh yeah, I think these are canceling out.
Oh, okay. Well, screw the water heater then.
Yeah, fuck you.
Yeah. Water heater. So now
water softener. Sorry.
Water softener. Now it's just you can just talk and not be distracted because no one's gonna hear it anyway. But she wipes the blood in his wound, right? And thinking that it might cure him. And it doesn't. And he's deaf, so he doesn't hear her when she's sleeping. He just turns and I don't think he knows what's going on until he actually sees her. That's when he attacks her. You know, what proceeds then is, Henry kills Sam, kills himself. And then I think you can just see the change in Ellie where she's kind of forced to grow up a little bit. And I see it in her because obviously she lost Riley. We'll talk about her and Riley, a little bit later when we get into the winter. But this is a big loss for her. And I think she is realizing a little bit of just how important her mission is, which I think leads in, I think this moment specifically is why Ellie reacts the way she does in The Last of Us 2, where Joel tells her what he did, because she's like, I had the power to save this person, and I didn't, and I lost him. And she was forced to grow up.
So let me pause you there. Something that I just thought of was, I don't remember her doing that in the video game, rubbing the blood,
didn't.
right? That doesn't. So it's a very specific and interesting choice that they now have introduced into the show, which now brings more complexity to the inner dilemma that she has in questioning, can I save these people or not? Because now her blood, she tried it once on Sam, and it's failed. That experience is going to be with her for forever.
Yep.
So now add that to the complexity in part 2 when Joel's at the end when she's taken from it and Joel takes her back, and then she's like, I have the power to save these people. Like, I'm immune. So that's irrefutable. She is immune, right? The thought is she can then now save everyone else. But how is that actually going to work when her own blood, in her own experience, didn't save this young character? So now that doubt is always going to live forever in her mind moving forward. So she's going to be conflicted even further in part 2 of, well, I could have saved these people, fuck you, Joel, but actually, like, did he do the right thing because I didn't save Sam? And they chose to include that in the show, not in the game, which just brings, as a viewer, if you've never played the game, now that complexity is in you going, is she going to be the savior of everyone or is she not? And so now we're on the fence of, do we want her to be sacrificed or not? Because we just don't know if she's actually going to save people or not. And we will be left with the uncertainty for forever. Because, spoiler alert, the end of The Last of Us Part 1, Joel takes her away and doesn't save everyone. So anyways, that was an interesting choice of why they specifically showed her trying to save Sam and could not.
I remember when I first watched that, like on the video game, I really thought we just became a group of 4. I was like, okay, there's 4 of us now in this little group. We went from 3 to 2 to 4, back to 2. I remember it was such a, like, it was an act of violence. It came so quick that I almost didn't realize what happened. I remember I think I had to like Google it to be like, are Sam and Henry dead?
So fast.
It happened so fast and just
In the show.
and in the game because then the thing goes and it's like fall. You switch seasons. The time has passed and you're out traveling again. But the show added a detail that I thought was very potent, where it was they buried Henry, they buried Sam,
Yeah.
and they put Ellie wrote a note and just said, "I'm sorry." And I thought that was just like, that's where I feel like she got her sense of duty, where it's like, this was just a trip with Joel at this point. We're like, yeah, I might be able to save the world, I might not, I don't know. But at that point, it was like, no, these are the consequences of me not being able to save this person that I cared about, that was relying on me, this good part of humanity that was worth saving, and I couldn't do it. I wasn't ready.
Right.
And so I'm sorry. The next time that I come across a situation like this, I won't let you down.
Right.
And that's when Ellie became a 14-year-old kid to debatably a 14-year-old adult. Because we good?
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
Because it was that note, I feel like, just says so much about her, where it's like the sense of duty starts to seep into what she's becoming as a human being.
Yeah.
But then we move on. Oh, go ahead.
Well, and I was gonna say, so now it's like, let's take a step back and look at this again, right? The what can you expect with The Last of Us? Well, you start out with this relationship with Sarah, Joel, and Tommy. And what happens? Disruption, heartbreak, right? Split up. Sarah dies. Tommy and Joel split up. Joel's left to himself. Now where's Joel and Tessa? What happens? Shit hits the fan. that relationship is over. Ellie comes and fits in Joel's place, right? Sam and Henry. Sam and Henry is a mirror of Joel and Ellie. What happens? Well, no, go back. Bill and Frank, right? What happens? Heartbreak, catastrophe amidst all of this love. Sam and Henry, love. What happens? Heartbreak. What do you think this is going to end like, viewers?
Yeah. What did you think was going to
Where
happen?
do you
with
think
story?
this is going to go? It can only go one way. So, if you haven't played the game and you've watched the show, for season 2 that you're waiting for, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah. The song Future Days, like they're fucking with you, bro. They're screwing with you. Where it's like our future days, the days of you and me, not going to happen. Because in this world, there is no happily ever after. There's happily ever present. And you enjoy the present because that is all that's guaranteed. Because tomorrow, a nuclear bomb could fall in your city because they're trying to kill an infection. You get bit, or you're a human, you get old and you die. Something happens to you where you get an illness. And that is the story of The Last of Us. There's no future days. There's future. There's present days. Present days, happily ever present. Because that's all that's guaranteed in that. I mean, that's all that's guaranteed in our world is in general, but even more so in this world that they're currently living in.
Huh. I've known that, but just hearing you say that of the future, like The Last of Us, the future's not guaranteed.
There's no future days.
There are no future days, right?
Yeah.
And that just makes me appreciate, like, in my own life and my day-to-day stuff, which is something I try to do, is like be present and live in the present. That's all we have right now. The relationships with the people we have today, right now, there's no guarantee that tomorrow that they're going to exist. There's no. My dad was just walking to church a week ago. He's 67. Goes on a patch of ice, slips, falls, breaks his leg, breaks his ankle, and now he's like holed up in his house. He just had surgery the other day, and he's obviously getting older. And it was just like that, man. Just like that. He was walking and now he's not. And hopefully he's going to recover. We're very fortunate. I'm very fortunate for him. He's very fortunate for himself that it could have been worse, right? But the point being, there's no guarantee that the day is going to end the way it started out, with everything is fine. You woke up breathing and you've got another day, right? All is well.
Yep.
There's no guarantee that that's going to happen. So I think that is such part of why I really also like the show versus the game, is we are spending time in the present moment with those characters, as present as we can be,
Because they might not fucking be there when you come back for next year. Yep.
So like when Bill and Frank are having that nice meal together, that moment, just that moment is so nice, right? There are moments when Ellie and Joel like look at each other, and there's just this love and communication that's there, right? And then they just sit in it for a moment.
Yep.
And then they move on, right? But like, just sit in the moment, people. Sit in the motherfucking moment.
You just remind me of a story. One of my favorite parts of that show, you talk about moments, because like Ellie just had to shoot somebody. She's obviously torn up. Joel just had to kill a kid because it was a teenage boy probably that attacked them. They've gone through this whole experience, and they're up in the attic. And Ellie's like, "Hey, Joel," and he's like, grunts at her. He's like, "Did you know that diarrhea is hereditary?" And he's like, and she goes,
It runs in
your genes. And he's like, "That's so goddamn stupid." But he starts to laugh. He's like, she finally told a pun that he thought was funny. And they have like this connection where,
I forgot.
they're both laughing at it. she's thinking that she's just hilarious because she's thought that she's hilarious this whole time. And Joel's just like, please shut up. And finally she breaks through her. She tells him a pun and he's like, that is so goddamn stupid. But he's laughing while he says it. And like, it's a moment for them where it's like, they're starting to tolerate each other. Or like, Ellie's at this point, she's like, I love you, man. And he's still like, I hate your guts still. But this moment is where she starts to kind of creep in, which I think when it comes to like what happens in the fall, caused him to just really shove her back because he does. Like he has a moment during the fall where she gets close and he just gives her emotionally speaking, not physically, emotionally speaking, he gives her a two-handed shove and says, "You're too close. Step back, 6 feet, please." And that's one of their moments in the show that I really enjoyed.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was good.
That was very good.
Yeah. The pun book was, and then like the porn book too. That was funny too, where she's in the back and he's like, they find Bill's stash of pornography, and he's like, "Why are these pages sticking together? Like, why? How do you guys walk with that thing?" And he's like, "Hey," he goes into like dad mode. He's like, "Hey, you give me that goddamn magazine. You chuck that out the window." So they just did a good job with that. They did a good job, and while they finished up the fall to give you enough human moments to get you ready for what happens in fall and winter, and then eventually the spring.
Yeah. Wow, man. Like, and also just don't take things so serious. Like that. Don't take it so serious. Don't take life so serious.
No.
You know? Fuck me.
One of the little ones, man. But they eventually make their way to Wyoming, which I really just these guys did such a good job on the show because as someone who's from Wyoming, I know Wyoming territory really well. And while they're driving to Wyoming, they start to mention a few places in Wyoming that I'm really familiar with. Places like Laramie, places like Casper, that have no mountains whatsoever. They are the plains of Wyoming, and they would be terrible to build up a home in.
Some might say Casper's ghostly.
Yes, Casper might be ghostly. Very good pun. The baseball team is actually called the Ghosts.
Oh,
Casper.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But they pick Jackson Hole.
It's a bit haunting.
Very good. They pick Jackson Hole in the game, and they pick Cody in the TV show, if I'm not mistaken. And those two places are surrounded by these beautiful mountains. They're surrounded by a shit ton of wildlife, a place where you can sustain life for a long period of time and be protected from a lot of enemies. So I really like how they did their studies on, if you're going to base a show in a state that not many people live in, do your research on where you'd actually survive an apocalypse. Also, Jackson Hole and Cody are two of the middle of the pack populated places in Wyoming because of the temperatures there. And the places in the zombie apocalypse that are probably safest are where there's less people, because there's less chance of infection, there's less chance of zombies, there's just less people that kill. So I really like the places they went to. They end up going to Wyoming, and all of Joel's dreams come true. He finds Tommy. And he finds Tommy, things just don't go the way that he thinks. Like there was that initial like, Tommy! And they hug and they embrace. It's like, I found you, my man, I found you. And then Joel finds that Tommy has moved on, I want to say the right word is, or found something that Joel was missing, or something that Joel had.
He found an anchor.
He found an anchor. He found a wife. He found a home. And Maria is, if I'm not mistaken, I think she's pregnant. I think she's getting ready to have this baby. Or maybe not.
I can't remember now.
We'll check. We'll check on that detail. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, ask Chad or ask Google if Tommy's wife or girlfriend is pregnant in the Last of Us TV show. But Joel, he gets pissed at Tommy. He's like, you left me. Like, you left me in Boston with Pedro while you're out here with the communists out here living a good life out in Wyoming. You found a wife? Like, I just lost the closest thing to a wife that I've ever had in Tess, and you're having a baby? Like, this, I was supposed to have this. You were supposed to have this. I was supposed to have this. And it causes like this reunion that they have, this brotherly reunion that they wanted, and he's sacrificed so much for. It didn't go the way that he was expecting it to go, and I think it's a lot of it is because of jealousy. It's like I had this, and it was taken from me. You're supposed to be miserable with me. You're not supposed to find what I had and hold on to it. You're supposed to be miserable with me. What am I supposed to do now that my partner in misery has now moved on and found his anchor?
Yeah. And in the TV show, she is pregnant.
She is pregnant.
Which was a good choice because it adds more weight to that relationship with
She might be
Tommy and
pregnant
Joel.
in the game.
She's not.
She's
it's
not?
a departure from the game.
Okay.
Well, at least it's not mentioned.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I mean, it deepens Tommy's development as a character and his desire to have a fresh start, even though, like, in a way, Joel's story is held back, right? He can't now that Tommy has that makes him and Joel that much more different from each other, right? And will that make Tommy feel more guilty about finding peace in a heartless world now that Joel doesn't, right? And if Joel's sticking around, will that cause more envy and jealousness and hatred, right? Like it's a good addition to the story.
Oh yeah.
For tension and conflict and character development.
And there's a point of just real humanity where Joel is like, you think of like just like, I'm gonna go back to Legend of Zelda because we're talking about a video game here. Legend of Zelda, the Tears of the Kingdom, Link is the most overpowered human I've ever seen in my life. Guy's got a sword, a shield, he's got arrows that are bombs, he's got powers that can make him go through walls, he's got powers that can make him fly, he's got powers where he can reverse time, he's a god. Joel is not a god. Joel, if you're lucky, at any given time in the game, has 5 or 6 bullets. If you're lucky. In the game, Joel is not a young man. Joel is old. He's got gray hair. He's deaf in one ear, and he's got a lot of trauma. And compared with Tommy,
Joel and Logan are the same characters.
Yeah. And Tommy is, because Joel was a contractor, Tommy was a soldier. Tommy is a dangerous son of a bitch. And you find out more about that in The Last of Us 2, where you're trying to fight against Tommy, and Tommy is just kicking your ass. And you're like, God, who is this guy sniping me? How do we kill this guy? Joel, at this point, he has to sit down with Tom, and he's like, you have to take Ellie off my hands. Supposedly, this girl is the savior of the earth, supposedly. And I need you to take her for 2 reasons. One, I am being extremely vulnerable right now in a couple different ways, physically and emotionally. Physically, you are younger than me. You are better shot than me. You're in better shape than me. Out there, you have a much better chance of surviving than I do. But she's got to be hard for someone like him to admit. It's like, I am compromised physically. Second, I am compromised emotionally. This girl is the same age as Sarah. She's making me feel things I don't want to feel. I'm going to let her down. She's going to die. Or I'm going to kill myself because having her around, having the memory of her around is going to cause me to lose my mind. You got to take her. You got to take her because you're more physically able and you're more emotionally able. And Tommy says yes. And for one, that just goes to tell you how much Tommy loves his brother.
Yeah.
Because at that point, Tommy has everything to lose and absolutely nothing to gain.
Good job, Tommy.
He's like, gosh, Joel, you're being such an asshole. You were such an asshole to me when I told you I was pregnant and when I had a wife, but I love you, so I'm going to do this favor. Because he's right. I'll survive out there. You'll probably get your ass kicked. And he was there when Sarah died. He watched Joel hold Sarah in his arms where he was like, I saw you at your worst, and I don't want to see that again. So there's questions of like, who is this kid? Why are you so close to this kid? He saw Joel at his worst. He saw what will probably be the outcome of the situation. And being a good brother, he says yes. And Joel, at this moment, he's like, great. No more responsibility. I can't wait to go tell this kid that we are done.
You know, that makes me wonder and think, and maybe this was in the show and in the game, and because of time, I just don't remember this detail. But when Tommy sees Joel and Ellie for the first time, Does it address the fact that, and now I feel like I'm missing a piece here that I can't remember, but
Ellie does not like this interaction between Tommy and Joel. The whole time she's there, she's on her worst behavior, and she's like, "I know what's coming. I know what's coming because you are taking his attention away from me.
yes, I remember this.
I am no longer the center of his attention, for better or for worse. I'm no longer it, and I know how this ends. You will take Joel from me somehow or another, or you become my new Joel. And I like Joel. I don't know you. I like him.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's change. Change is hard, but not just change. I mean, it's a little girl that doesn't have a father, and the father that she does find, is she's starting to find, now is going to be taken away again. You know, that's just. I mean, it's just fucked, right? But what I was trying to get to the point of, and I'm trying to find the best way to articulate it, is I wonder, and maybe this was in there and I just don't remember it. I wonder what Tommy's experience was seeing Joel and Ellie for the first time, with Joel and this little girl, this young girl around the same age maybe as Sarah, going, did Joel have another kid? Is this Joel's daughter? Was there a moment of that I'm just.
No, I don't think so. 'Cause not that much time had passed. I don't think. Like from what I understand, just based on my memory, is that he had been out of Boston for potentially like 2 years at most.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
I'm
Never
sure
mind.
he had questions because he
You're
was like,
right.
because one of the questions he asked Joe in that bar, where they have that bar scene, is like, who is this kid? Like, what is her deal? What are you doing with her? Why is she so important? Like, why did you travel to Wyoming to bring her here? Because he knows that for the longest time it was Tess, Joel, and Tommy, and fuck everybody else. Nobody else mattered. Joel, Tommy, and Tess to probably a lesser extent, just slightly, and that was the three amigos. And he shows up with no Tess and Ellie. He's like, who is this person? Why have you brought this person into our fold and brought them into my communist community where we're living okay? And but I don't think he was ever wondering if it was like his other daughter or anything.
Yeah, no, that you're right. That totally makes sense. I don't know why I got lost in that.
But it's just the whole winter, because like the winter, like the TV show removes a lot of the action in the winter. Where like you don't clear out a dam, you don't start up a dam, you don't fight off any Walking Dead, clickers or hunters. It's just character.
Yeah.
And Ellie finds out all these secrets that Joel has been keeping from her, that Joel had a daughter, because Maria, Tommy's wife, tells her, and all of the things in Ellie's mind of like, why is he so cold to me? Why is he so Joel? Start to make sense. And she knows what's coming. She knows that Joel is not looking to feel this pain, and he wants to pawn her off on the first person that says, I'll take her to Salt Lake City, or to Colorado. At this point, it's Colorado. And when that moment finally comes, it's so damn heartbreaking, because it's just like, he goes up there and he's like, well, big news. You're going to go with Tommy now. Tommy's going to be your caretaker. And she's just like, this is bullshit, man. I don't want anything to do with this. He's like, I'm not her, And she knows now, because she knows Joe better based on knowing his trauma. She knows what buttons to push to really piss him off.
Mm-hmm.
And she not just pushes that thing, she hits that thing. Where she's like, I'm not her. And he's like, you're walking on mighty thin ground here, little girl. She's like, there's one thing for sure, certain. Because he knows her pretty damn well too. And she pushes his button where he's like, I'm not Sarah, The same thing is going to happen to me. And he knows her button, and he hits right back. And he says, I am not your fucking dad. And both those things, like those people leave that room so heartbroken. Because for one, like Sarah, she knows about Sarah, and she knows the insecurities that he's feeling now, of all these emotions that he's feeling. And he knows what this girl is looking for, potentially be the savior of the world, potentially. To find a new community, yeah. But she's looking for a dad. And he lets her know right then and there, that ain't me. Stop looking at me to be your dad. It's not me. Go find it somewhere else because what you're looking for in me ain't never going to happen. Fuck.
How heartbreaking is that moment?
That sucks, man. And I love that the TV show does it word for word that the game does. Because those that know what's coming know what's coming. It's one of those things. I compare it to like Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, where you know Anakin turns to the dark side. You know he kills those kids. You know he turns on Obi-Wan. You know he tried to kill Padme. But every time you watch that movie, even though it's 20 years old, you're like, don't do it. Don't do it. Like, I care about you too much. I know the pain that's coming. Don't you do it. Every time I watch the movie, I'm like, he's not going to do it this time. He doesn't. The same thing with this scene, The Last of Us. When that scene comes up, you're just like, Joel, for the love of God, just hug this kid. Be like, I'm going to take you to Colorado and we'll see where we're at from there. Just be nice. Just be nice. And he's just not. He has stopped caring because the world has made him stop caring. He cared too much to where he tried to stop the pain and it resulted in him not feeling anything. And now he's trying to feel something again and it scares him more than the clickers, more than the fucking Rat King. What scares him the most is what this little girl is becoming. So he's like, I'm going to kill this right here and now so that this fear of mine does not come to pass. Because if I love her and I lose her, I cannot survive that pain again.
Yeah, we can't do it again.
And he lets her know that he is not her dad. Yeah. But he has a change of heart. He next morning he shows up when Tommy's getting ready to take her to Colorado, and he's like, "Look, if you go with me," and that's about as far as he gets. And she's like, shoves the thing into his arm, and he's like, "Let's go," because she showed up. Tommy showed up. She knew it was coming. It's like, well, I gotta go with Tommy. He shows up too, and he got halfway through that sentence where it's like, well, you gotta know before, and then that's all he got in. Before she was like, let's fucking go. Like, between the two of you, I'm choosing you. I know you don't like me, but I love you, so we're piecing out.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I've seen it and I played the game, but I just had forgotten about that. And it's like, oh yeah, they both know they fucked up. They both know that they press each other's buttons, just like real relationships. They both know, damn it, why did I say that? Why did I go there? I never wanted to go there. Why did I go there? And they both went there and they both were trying to figure out how are they going to reconcile this. And Joel starts to say it and she's like, you don't say anything, I don't say anything, let's go.
Yeah.
Right? I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. And then it just goes into, because they reconnect, they connect again. You move on from the fall and Jackson in the game, Cody in the video game. Because what comes next in the winter and the spring is, I think the what you were talking about, you were describing the world they live in. Because they go to find the Fireflies, they find a bunch of monkeys in this university, and in the video game,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He falls and falls on like a piece of metal that stabs him. And there's like moments where they start to connect again. Where like he teaches her how to snipe bottles or chickens or whatever.
Winter, I remember.
Yes, we're entering winter.
Yes.
And he's a little bit more just warm to her, to where like when he's on the back of the horse, she feels comfortable enough to like fall asleep on his back, and he doesn't flip out. Where she's like, okay, I showed him some love and he didn't push me away. So you started to get these moments, right?
And how fitting, not to interrupt, but
go
I'm
ahead.
going to interrupt. How fitting, though, is winter in storytelling, in that winter is a changing of seasons where life starts to fade away, right? And there's this moment, right, where Joel starts to fade away.
Yep.
Life starts to fade away.
Yep.
And how fitting is winter? Fucking good storytelling.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, yeah. Because he does. He gets stabbed in one where they meet some bandits on the way, and he can I get that?
No, it's okay. I'll call him later.
He gets stabbed by a cult member. Let's call him that. And then in the video game, I think he falls on some metal, and he's bleeding out. And Ellie drags him to a home and keeps him alive like the best of his ability. But she like if she knows if she just gets some food in him or some medicine, that they're screwed. And that's when you meet David. And for those of us that have played The Last of Us 2, we've met the Rat King, we've met the Rattlers, the Slavers, we've met Fedra, the Nazis, we've met the revolutionary terrorists, you can call them the Fireflies. Sam's repping their hat. We've met the Wolves, which is that group in Seattle that Abby's a part of. The Pharisaites, that wonky religion out in Seattle. And out of all and we've met the Hunters, we've met the Clickers, we've met the Bloaters. I think out of all the monsters that live in The Last of Us, that David is the worst one.
David's fucking awful.
Yeah, David is... Yeah, David was, I thought, portrayed so well in the game because it is, I guess, someone that, I go back
fucking
like...
Colt
Predator.
Yeah.
I mean...
Fuck those guys.
Compare him to fucking Sweet Molly, bro.
Yeah.
You compare David to the guy that you filmed in Sweet Molly. What's the difference?
The character.
That's it. It's the name on the screen, right? It's a guy who found his place in the apocalypse where he was like, I can give people hope while abusing their most vulnerable.
It's fucking Warren Jeffs.
Yep. And he is a predator. He identifies the vulnerable. He shows enough kindness to get your trust. Like in the game, you have this whole thing where you're fighting off zombies together. You probably kill 100 clickers with David helping you until he's like, I know who you are. Like my camp came back a few days ago and we're like, we just got killed off by an old guy and a little girl. And you look like the little girl that killed members of my team. And that's where the conflict happened, where she is able to trade some meat for some pills. He lets him know that he knows who she is, and he follows her back to Joel.
That guy, bro.
He's the worst, and he's such a typical predator too, to where monsters don't look like monsters. Monsters don't look like a rat king. Monsters look
like your friends.
Like your friend. They look like David, where middle-aged, balding, speaks really nice, gives you gifts. Like David he's a predator. And he is a cult leader, pedophile, who's fucking eating people, man. He's part of this cannibalistic cult that's eating people. Like he's just, the only thing he's missing is just being a Nazi, man. Like the only thing he's missing, and his grooming techniques, like I'll get ahead of the story, but like they follow Ellie back. Ellie has to bounce to get them off of Joel's trail. She gets kidnapped. They kill her horse. They take her back. And he starts to groom her. He gives her just little gifts where it's like, well, here's a little bit of food. This isn't human. This is regular food. Placing those seeds of trust, hoping that he can gain enough trust over this vulnerable 14-year-old girl enough to get him to be his wife.
But I'm trying to remember, she doesn't know that he's a cannibal yet, that he's feeding them human food, right?
At this point, I don't think so.
So, anyways, I'm just making that point because you're like, so here's some normal food. We know that he is fucking feeding people.
Yeah.
But I don't think she knows that yet.
No, let me find. I'm going to Google this real quick. Keep talking.
Yeah, man, the guy. You want to take people like that, and you want to take their testicles, wrap them around an electric fence, and let them hang, and just fucking stop them and any of their lineage from ever existing again.
Yeah. And he's just, I really like the detail in the Last of Us TV show where they had the voice of Joel play David's like right-hand cannibal friend. Like I thought that was awesome. What I really enjoyed, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, that's not that the seed of people like that are bad. I want to make that distinction as for people in the world that do exist like that, if they have lineage that exists after them, it doesn't mean that they're terrible. But you get the point that I'm trying to say is You want to just kill that evil from the root of it and just have it never exist again.
Yeah, because he is a monster. Like he is just. I mean, you could tell he's already exhibited some kind of abuse on like the kids in this community because he gives a plate of food to this little girl, puts his hand on her after he's feeding her father at this point. And I want to say that she does know he's like there's I'm missing some kind of detail here. Maybe it's in the TV show, or maybe it's in the game, but there is a point where I think Ellie stumbles onto the bodies that are hanging from the ceiling that they're eating. So I think that she does know.
But I think that happens right when she's locked up.
So does she know they're cannibals at that point?
I don't think she knows that they're cannibals at that point.
But she does because she lets him know in a threat, if you eat me, you're going to get infected because I'm infected. So she does know because she's getting pinned. She's pinned against the thing. They're getting ready to chop her up. And she's like, don't do it. I'm infected. And there's no reason for them to stop killing her unless they were planning on eating her. And then she shows them the scar. They get distracted. She's able to take the machete off the one guy and then run away from. Mm-hmm. So there's something that happens.
Yeah.
And our listeners can comment in the comments that they like of where we know that Ellie knows that these people are cannibals. But this is where you start to see Daddy Joel come out. Because Joel, at this point, you've seen him fight the clicker. You've seen him do all these different things. But when he wakes up, Ellie's gone. These people are in his house. He turned into like Joel with a capital J.
Found a reason to live again.
Yeah, and he takes it very serious, where he ties him up, tortures him. One guy gives him the answer. He goes to the other guy, and it's like, here, he told you what you want to know. He's like, yeah, I know. I'm just coming to kill you. Kills the guy, tortures the other guy. And in the game, it's a very, because you're playing simultaneously. It's Ellie, Joel. You're Ellie, you're running away from David, and and in Joel, you're running through this blizzard where you can't see shit. Like you run. You see somebody move, shoot them. Run. But you have no idea where you're going. You have no idea what's going on. But Joel doesn't. But we do. And so he goes. I mean, she goes. She runs away from David. David talking about making her his wife. And in the TV show, he gets Ellie pinned, and he's fully intending to rape her. Like you can tell by his movements, his actions, his words to her, where he's in the midst of this burning building. He's like, I'm about to rape this kid again, because this isn't the first time that he's done this. And one thing that I love is that they didn't show Joel in this moment as the savior. They showed him as the comforter. Because Ellie doesn't, like, she kills David on her own. She gets the upper hand. She's smart. She knows angles. She knows different things. Gets the machete, and she lets that dude have it. And not just kill him, she desecrates him, or she's covered in blood. And she's killed people with a gun. You know that scene in The Dark Knight where the Joker talks about how much more intimate it is to kill someone with a knife versus a gun?
I don't remember that, but I get it.
That's what she just did, and it really affects her. She's shaking, she's crying, she's immobile. And then Daddy Joel shows up where he's like, it's okay, baby girl. Like, I got you. Comforts her, has like his face in his hands. And he's like, we're going to get through this together. I've got you. The monsters are gone. Let's get the hell out of here. This place is burning down. And you can just see, she hugs him. She's like, Joel. And in the midst of this burning building in this snow, there's these two people. And they're finally there, where Ellie loves Joel, Joel loves Ellie. They've both gone through this horrific experience with this pedophile cannibal. They've survived, and they've holding on to the good thing in their life. And man, they are not letting go.
No, they're not.
No.
Until.
Well, we get to the next act.
Let's just sit in that moment again. That's such a nice moment. We don't have to hurry off on that.
Okay.
Like, how nice is that? That's what we all want, right?
Yeah.
That's, at the end of the day, regardless of our situations or whatever, we want to feel safe. We want to feel protected with the ones that we love and care about, and know that it's like when you have someone that you feel that way towards, right? You're no longer worried about your own problems. You're just worried about theirs, and you're there to support and take care of them, right? So in that moment, Joel is fulfilling his purpose, the purpose that he found when he became a father, right? Be there for my little girl. And there's times when you're not going to be there, or bad things are going to happen, right? But when you are there, just fucking be there. Don't rush off.
Yeah.
You know, when you're with your loved ones, don't be on your phone. Just be there with them. Be present. You know, tell them that you love them. Listen to them. Don't be ready to just say what you need to say. Like, listen and just hear. You know?
Because, like, you just, I mean, you go into the spring, right? We go into the spring, we go into Salt Lake City. You talk about just being present with someone and just being, you just, when you're not distracted, you just get better vibes, right? Because when he's with Ellie in Salt Lake, they finally make it to Salt Lake City where they find out the Fireflies aren't in Colorado, they're in Salt Lake City. And Ellie's just off. She's quiet. She's obviously committed this act that's obviously haunting her. And Joel notices because he gives a shit. He's not distracted. He's like, man, what's going on? Like, is it like the anticipation of this moment where like your whole life's purpose is now coming to a climax? Is it what just happened with David, like this horrific act of violence? But he's present with her finally, and he opens up, and this is one of the most beautiful moments of the whole series. I love this moment where you think about like they're talking shit in the attic where she's like, it runs in your genes, and he's like, oh, that's so goddamn stupid. And there's like, I'm not your dad. It's a very intimate moment, hurtful but intimate. Baby girl, where I saw the TikToks where people were like, when that aired on TV, there are people calling sick the next day where it's like, I can't physically go to work after watching him be like, it's okay, baby girl. And the next one where she has been very intimate with him. She told him about Riley. We didn't even touch on that, where how she lost Riley and how that was her first big loss, and how she grew up in the Fireflies. And he tells her, because he's like, well, why do you have that weird scar on your face, and why are you deaf in one ear? And for the first time, because she found out about Sarah via Maria. It wasn't Joel that told her. For the first time in the whole series, Joel opened up about his thoughts, his feelings, and his past. Where he was like, because he told her, because she's asked him before, what about that scar? And he said, someone took a shot at me and they missed. But who took the shot was Joel. Joel took a shot at himself. It was like a couple of days after Sarah died and the outbreak happened. Like the outbreak happened on a Friday, and by the Sunday the world had ended. It was a whole new, brave new world. I didn't see a way out. I lost this thing I cared about. I didn't see, is the best part of my life over? Now I'm stuck with this hellhole. So he's like, I took a shot at myself. I missed. I don't know why, but I missed. I don't know if I flinched or if I missed or whatever, but I missed. I'm still here. And she was like, yeah, well, time can heal all wounds. He's like, he looks at her and he's like, it wasn't time that did it. And she didn't say,
This is in Salt Lake.
yeah, and she didn't say, thank you. And he didn't say, it's you. He said what he said. He said what he said in the way that Joel says things. He looks at her and he says, it wasn't time that did it. And she understood. There was no exchange of like, I love you. And she's like, I love you too. But they both knew exactly what the other person was saying. She was saying, I love you. He was saying, I love you, in the way that they both communicate. And they both understood, because they were at that point where it's like, okay, we care. I've let you in. I've let you in. This is how I say I love you. And this is how I say I love you back.
Mm. Yeah, that's nice. That's a nice moment.
Yeah.
Oh, the show's so good. The story's so good. I'm like gonna go back after this and make time to play through it. 1 and 2. Watch the show. The thing that stops me more than anything from going back,
You know it's coming.
because of what it makes me feel.
Yeah.
And human beings like Joel and like Ellie, when they feel something that's real, it's scary, and we don't want to feel it. I'm like, I wanna feel that, but I don't want to feel that because I know what's coming.
And I think this is just such a what's coming is it's so funny. Like it's it's funny how people keep talking about this even like 12 years later. Is they get taken by the Fireflies. Marlene is there, who is essentially the main villain of this story. Is Marlene? If you're gonna place a villain on somebody, the overarching villain, and she's like, "Thanks for bringing her here. We'll take it from here." And like people have gone back and discussed this and all these different things where like the Fireflies handled this really poorly, really poorly. It's like, well, we got 6 hours to kill her, and we got to take her brain out, and so thanks, and we'll be on your way. Like there's definitely a way they could have gone about it in a very different way, but they're also probably like they were excited, they were panicked, they were like, we finally have what we spent 20 years looking for. We have to do this.
We can't waste any more time.
We can't waste any more time. And at this point, you've kind of walked through this world of how brutal it is, the clickers, the hunters, the bloaters, the people of just, if that can all in theory be fixed by this one person, and this one group has the tools to do that, and they tell Joel, it's like, we have to kill her. And like The Last of Us, the video game, did a really good job of not making her an annoying companion, because there are some annoying companions in video games. Ellie's not one of them. And Joel makes his choice. And I'm curious, like, are you good with this choice? Like, what are your thoughts on it? Like, what do you?
That's what I was going to ask you. I was going to say, so would you do it?
I can say, if it was me, I'd do it. I know, like, and this episode will come out before Brandon's episode, where it's like the choice is such a hard moral choice in the world they live in. But if I'm Joel at that moment, first off, Joel was in a panic. His actions comes mainly from panic, where it's like, I'm this close to feeling what I felt when I lost Sarah. I am not going to feel that again. I am in panic mode. I'm going to kill all these fucks. And he does. He kills them all. He slaughters the Fireflies. And then you see the real Joel come out, where it's like, this is the Joel that people are talking about, people are scared of. This is Joel. The music that plays in the TV show is very intentional, where it's not exciting. It's sad.
It's somber.
It's like, this is a decision that will have consequences that will go well into the future. You saving her will actually make it so you lose her as well. He don't care. He's looking to just get her out. And at that point with Joel knows what the world is. Joel spent 20 years shoveling dead bodies of kids into a crater that were infected. He's seen the Nazis. He's seen the Fireflies. He's seen Fedra. He's seen David. And if that's who we're saving, like, is that who we're saving? Where in his mind, it's like, this person is my world, Ellie. She's become the most important thing in my whole world. And then there's the world, the Davids, the Fedra, the Fireflies. Yeah, you can loop in like David and Maria in there, and obviously he cares very deeply about his brother. But he's thinking, I think of the worst of the worst, and he's like, I'm going to choose my kid. I know it's not logical. I know it's not. I know it's probably not the most moral. I don't give a fuck. Like, that is my world, and if I'm going to sacrifice my world to save the world, this ain't worth it. And I'm saving my world instead. And honestly, like, if it was me, like, I don't have kids, but I have people that I deeply, deeply care about. And the people I deeply care about, if you put them in that situation, and have me choose between the world and them, I choose them. And I don't think twice. I know it might not be the most moral decision in the world, but I don't give a fuck. Like, at that point, I'm just thinking about me, my wants, my desires, my feelings, the stuff that I'm about to feel. And I'd rather save my world versus the world.
Is now a good time to talk about the tattoo on your back?
Yeah, we can talk about the tattoo on my back. Yeah, surprise, Mom. Yeah, so like we talked about this in the episode that we did where we interviewed me. But The Last of Us helped one of the survivors feel seen because it reminded her of her story, where she was rescued from human trafficking. She was thrust into the care of people that care about her, but essentially you're paid to take care of her. Like Joel was paid to take Ellie from point A to point Z, right? She was the same way. Like she was put into care of people that cared about her, wanted to see her do well, but were paid to do so. And when she watched The Last of Us, this girl and Ellie have a lot of things in common. They're both very sweet. They can both be very have very dark humor, and they can also be very furious, dangerous when they want to be. That's not the right word. It's what's a word for like protective for like the people they care about? Protective is not the right word either, but they can be fierce. That's what they're fierce. They're both fierce. And so when she watched the final episode of what happened in Salt Lake City, where Joel wastes the fireflies, she called me in a crisis where she's just sobbing. She was like, "I can't believe he did that. It makes no sense for him to do that. Zero. If that girl is the cure for COVID, and he chooses her and says the world go to hell. Like I don't care. Like you're beyond saving at this point. I'm saving you, who I know is good and I know I care about." She was like put into her cry. She's like, "Why would someone do that?" And she resonated with that story because she's like, "That's what I feel like these people, like in this nonprofit, like have done for me. I feel like you guys, there's some differences, obviously. Like we were in a situation where it's like, well, the world be damned, we're saving this one kid. But we were telling them, like, we care about you. I care about you. If I was put in that situation, you or the world, I'm choosing you, honey. Like, I'm choosing you because the world has shown me what they are. The world has shown me the people like Michael Roberts, who is the guy that trafficked this little girl. If that's what I'm having to say by sacrificing you, no thank you. I know it's not logical. I know it's probably not the most moral decision. I do not care. At that point, I'm not going to let them sacrifice something that I love because I'm afraid of my own feelings. And my world at this point is more important than the world. Sorry. And so she was so moved by that story because she saw herself in Ellie and she saw other people in Joel. To where she, the last of the story, her nickname is Ellie. She goes by Ellie, which my niece is named Ellie too, so that's cool. She resonated with Wyoming being a safe place where a lot of the funding from the nonprofit comes from. It's a place where Tommy, Joel, Ellie find love, find acceptance, find healing, find peace. And she told me, she was like, I feel like our story is similar to their story. Would you get this tattoo with me on our backs in the same place so we're connected via The Last of Us, via our story forever? And obviously, how do you say no to something like that? You can't. You can't say no. So we did. We got the tattoo together. And the tattoo means a lot. The relationship means a lot because it's a dark world out there. The world sucks, but this is a glimmer of hope in this beautiful world this world that we live in, this fallen world we live in. It's a sign of hope. It's a sign of goodness. It's something that you cling on to as like our world, my world, whatever you want to call it. And I think I would do the exact same thing. And I'm glad we're connected in that way. And I'm glad that she felt seen by the last of the story, by the story of Ellie and Joel.
Yeah, I think I probably would do the same. I don't know how I wouldn't. I think I would walk myself into a justification of.
Well, they didn't have the cure. There was little chance they could have actually done that, or just justify it in your mind.
Yeah, like
moralizing it.
It's been this long, and you're telling me that the only anchor in my life is the answer. Yeah, fuck that. Right?
Yeah.
If you're gonna take her, it's gonna be over my dead body. The thing that I have a hard time with is
the lie.
No, it's if she wanted that and me stepping in her way.
Yeah. But they never asked her if they wanted that, from my understanding, right? From the story, they never asked her, like, because she knew that she would have to do something to save the world, but they never told her they had to kill her.
I don't think she knew.
No, she didn't. She did not know that they had to cut her brain out to save the world. They just took her into surgery, and they told Joel the tail end, which again, like,
Because if they told her and she didn't want to do it, then she wouldn't. If she did or didn't, they don't know. But if
No.
she didn't want to do it, then she wouldn't have gone there.
Mhm.
So of course they're not going to tell her we're going to kill you.
And I don't want to like throw shade on Ellie from The Last of Us 2, but she gets really upset at Joel for doing what he did, saying that I wanted to do that. But that's really easy to say when you're 19 years old, not 14, and you're still alive.
And you don't know. You didn't know.
No.
You didn't know the reality of that. So that would be the hang up for me, right?
Yeah.
Is if she wanted to do that and I got and I lied to get what I wanted over what she wanted.
Yeah.
Because that's a betrayal. You
Yep.
know? But there's the wisdom in life experience that Joel had and insight that Joel had that she didn't, which he knew she was going to die. She didn't. So I probably still would have done it.
I remember in the video game, when I played the game for the first time, I was just seeing red. I was like, you motherfuckers. I can't believe you're going to kill this. I bet you spent 13 hours with this kid, and she helps you. There's parts in the game where she's really helpful to you. And I remember when they had me play as Joel, wiping out the fireflies, I remember as a person playing the video game, I was seeing red. I was like, I don't care what moves, I'm shooting it. I'm shooting it because you gotta get to this kid. I imagine Joel had the very similar thing where he's seeing the whole situation. He's not thinking logically. But to be fair, the Fireflies gave him a choice where he couldn't think logically. He's seeing red. He's in panic. He's in pure fight. So I mean, I don't know about you, but like I was seeing so much red in the video game where when you go and save Ellie, obviously you shoot the doctor. I shot the nurses too. I was like, I got 2 bullets left and a flamethrower. You're getting 2 bullets. You're getting the flamethrower because even though you guys weren't directly operating on her, you guys were present and you're witnesses. Yeah.
Yeah, the game, and that's what makes the video game fascinating because you are making those choices.
Yep. And there's really like it's such a morally complex decision to where, I mean, that's why people still talk about it. It's like I've had some people tell me it's like Joel's a moron. Like you're gonna sacrifice the world for this one kid, and you get in a fight with him. You're like, well, you're gonna save people like David?
What's the world?
Like, what is the world to you? Like, what is, and like there's stuff you can go into. It's like, well, how are you gonna distribute this? How are you gonna? Are people gonna capitalize it on it? Where it's like, well, you can have the vaccine, but you got to give me $20,000. You can't get it. That's what people in the real world do. Like, there's people that have medicine that can shrink cancer cells almost down to nothing, and they're withholding it because not enough people have cancer yet to where it's not profitable. Like, people do that now in a world that functions. Imagine it now, 20 years from now in a zombie apocalypse, people are still going to capitalize off that. And then the Fireflies become potentially like this dictator regime where they have the cure for humanity. They can do whatever the hell they want.
So then who becomes the monster?
So, I mean, these are discussions you can talk about forever, all these different situations. But people do take the Firefly side in this where it's like, he didn't even give him a chance. He shouldn't have done that. Like, even the equivalent of saving one life versus saving millions, not worth it. But Joel wasn't thinking that way. He wasn't thinking, if I do this, I'm condemning the world. He was like, if I don't do this, I'm condemning my world.
Yeah. Yeah, I think.
And then he lies.
Then he fucking lies.
That was the part where I remember playing the video game where I was like, what? That's where it ends? And like, you and I had a discussion about this just the other night where I've thought a lot about this, like preparing for this podcast, of like, was the lie the most compassionate thing to do? No, but I get it, because definitely the easiest answer to tell him in the moment. like, I won't go into the details of like what me and Sam were talking about. Probably not appropriate for this podcast, but a lie is easier.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like you're looking to get home, you're looking to get to Jackson, you're tired from killing the fireflies, and
You don't, or you just don't have the, you just
you don't have the
don't have,
emotional energy to do it.
and you just don't have
The words?
the words or an answer to give in a way that they will understand.
Yep.
At that time.
And the lie is a band-aid on the situation where it's like, this fixes it right now, but that will get infected. It will get infected. But it's the easiest solution right now. And Joel shouldn't have lied, ? But I get it. But that lie ends up being
now I remember what we were talking about the other night.
Yeah. But the lie ends up being the catalyst. Oh, God.
I don't think he should have lied.
Well, the lie, now I'm talking through this, Sam. God damn it. The lie is the catalyst for everything that happened in The Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
That lie, man. You watch me have a breakdown on YouTube, man. That lie, almost every decision that happens, other than like him slaughtering the fireflies, is a consequence of the lie that he told in that moment where it was easier to lie versus telling the truth.
Yep.
And like I can go through the reasons right now in my head of why Joel lied. You're not ready to hear the truth. I don't want to tell you the truth. I don't want to scare you. I don't want to tell you the truth because you'll think different of me. I don't want to tell you the truth because I don't have the emotional energy in this moment to explain to you what is actually happening and what has actually happened and what could potentially have been because of the decision that I made. It's easier to just be like, I'm sick. Can't do it. Or there was no, in his situation, it was like, oh, there were more of you. They didn't need you anymore. And it didn't work. So we're screwed either way. It's just it's an easier solution than the actual solution, but that lie has consequences that those of us that have played the video game know, and those of you that are just listening to this to get ready for The Last of Us Season 2 will come to understand in the next couple months.
Yeah, he should have just done it.
Yeah, she just bit the bullet and done it.
And would it have hurt that relationship? Yeah.
Yeah.
But not the way it hurt it with a lie.
Yeah.
Because that lie was the little infection under the Band-Aid.
Yep.
The lie was putting a Band-Aid that was already infected.
Then that's why The Last of Us is an important story, because it means so much to so many different people. Like, I've got it literally everyone in my house. You got it in your house. I've got it on my body. You've got future plans with your kids that involve The Last of Us. And we're still, even now, talking about these decisions that these people make, whether they're wrong or right, who they do it for, what are the consequences of it. And I think that's why I think so many people, like why video games have gotten so much better over the last 10 years, because people want cinematic storytelling. They want these characters to mean something. We don't want any more like Rampage, where it's like you just destroy as many buildings as you can in a minute and 20 seconds. Or Super Smash. I love Super Smash
There's
Brothers.
moments for those. There's moments for those.
I love Super Smash Brothers. But it's not cinematic. People want like the Tears of the Kingdom. They want the God of War Ragnarok. They want The Last of Us Part 1 and Part 2. We want the Elden Ring.
They want the human experience.
They want the human experience, to where it's like, this is a fun game to play. And gosh, I would run through a wall for Kratos. I would run through a wall for Link. I want so bad for Joel and Ellie to make it, because this game was a blast to play, and those characters stuck with me.
Dude, I look at some of my favorite stories in video games of all time, and I go, man, all of these characters are the same fucking character. Kratos, Joel, Logan. These are all the same characters. And I just fucking love it.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Not to get in a little side note, I was reading a little rumor today that the next installment of God of War, Kratos, is going to be in Egyptian mythology. And I'm like, come to daddy, baby.
Sam's like, oh no, please.
I haven't finished Ragnarok yet. But when I do, I'm ready for Egypt
Okay.
and Kratos. But dude, Kratos and
His son,
right?
Loki.
Yeah. Who?
Atreides?
What is
his name?
Atreyu?
He goes by Loki at the end of Ragnarok.
Yeah, but is it Atreyu? Atreyu.
No, Atreides is a band.
I know, but I think it's his name too.
Let me check. Name of Kratos. God of War fans. We're like, what is his name? Name of Kratos' son. Atreus.
Atreus.
Yes.
Yes. Atreyu becoming the bull. Atreus. Yeah, Atreus is Ellie. Joel is Kratos, right?
Yes.
X-23, Ellie. Logan, Joel.
Yep.
These
Parents.
yeah, this is fuck.
Yeah.
Bro, good shit.
But I think that's why this story is so important for so many different people. It's a great game to play. It's an amazing story. It leaves you feeling something even after the fact, and the music in it as well. You're just like, the music is so haunting yet so beautiful, so longing. Just makes you feel so many different things. Obviously, like, I feel super represented because it's in Wyoming, bro. Wyoming, Salt Lake City. Those are two places that aren't really represented a lot in video games and media as a whole. And to see, like, when I was playing the game for the first time, it's like, we're going to Wyoming, bro? We're going to Jackson Hole? Cool. I grew up 90 minutes from there. It's just so well done. And
Growing up in Salt Lake City,
Yeah.
and ending in Salt Lake City.
I mean, the best scene in the game that's been forever immortalized.
How have we not talked about this?
I don't know. We just when Ellie and Joel,
The giraffes.
and you look at it, you can see Intermountain Healthcare. You can see the Salt Lake City Mormon Temple. And you can see the snow-capped mountains. That is Salt Lake City. That is the Salt Lake City. When people think about what they come to see, that is Salt Lake. And to see these two giraffes that have escaped from the Hogle Zoo, or who knows where the hell they're from, in that moment where Joel and Ellie, in this dark, dark world, again, having a moment together in anticipation for what's about to come. They're like, this is like what's going to happen in Salt Lake City is dark. It's brooding. It's ominous. It's going to have consequences that will cost you both your life and your humanity. But in the meantime, before we do that, here's a scene of the beautiful part of Salt Lake City, these snow-capped mountains, this beautiful Mormon temple, and these giraffes. And let's give you guys a moment of humanity to reflect on before what happens affects the rest of your life. Love that moment.
That's so good. It's just pure. It's pure innocence when the giraffes just pop their heads over the overpass. Like, I'll say like again for that shit.
Yeah. And those moments where Ellie gets to be a kid again, like those are the moments that, like, I feel like with, some of these survivors that I get to work with, and they get to be kids again. Like, it's just so damn beautiful. Like Ellie and her jokes and her playing games with Sam, playing soccer, drawing in the comic books, seeing the giraffes. When someone is given their innocence back after having it taken away from them, it's such a beautiful thing. Like,
and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Like that moment is all that matters.
And you take those moments for granted. Like, there's a story that I've shared on the podcast, like, a little bit, of a girl that got her first period while she was a migrant in Mexico. I just had a chance to, because she called me and she was like, I'm getting zits. She's panicking.
Yeah.
Because she's a 14-year-old kid, she's getting zits. And she was like, I need you to come pick me up now. We got to go buy some skincare. And I was like, okay, cool, great, let's go. Picked her up, we went and bought some skincare. And I told her, I was like, take this moment because this is normal. This is beautiful. Like, it's you're a kid. This is what 14-year-old girls should be worried about, is freaking your skincare so your zits don't show up and you don't get made fun of at school. The normality of just being a kid and having your innocence come out. Because Ellie, in this moment, she's nervous. She's being very vulnerable with Joel about her feelings and what's going on in her head who knows what's going through her head of like, if I am the savior of the world, what comes next? Oh, look, some giraffes. I've never seen these before. I'm gonna pet them and enjoy the view for a second, and have that innocence thrown in with a very innocent animal and a very innocent girl. It's just such a it's a historic moment in video game history.
Yeah, I was just thinking what's cool is you are the very best of Joel to these girls that you help, right? And on that flame, on that same, and it's like, man, I'm envious of that. And then on that same coin, I'm like, but you also you live and are very familiar with the dark world that Joel lives in, you know. But it's cool that you get to be the very best of Joel for these girls that are just like Ellie in this awful world. So, don't you quit.
Oh God. Well, I appreciate that, man. That's probably the nicest thing anybody's ever said to me is compare me to Joel. Joel Miller? Are you kidding me? Oh man, I'll take that compliment every day of the week.
And while Tyler is a very good, honorable, law abiding citizen, I would say he's very capable of fucking shit up if you got in the way. Because that's how much he cares.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I will toot my own horn for a second. I am capable of things when people threaten the people that I care about. And I had a compliment today. I was telling Sam I might be a little bit late because we have this emergency in the foundation with some of the girls. And I sat down with them. There's a lot of things going on that make them very nervous. I won't get too much into it here on the podcast, but I could feel them when we were talking, just calming a little bit. And one of the girls said something that I mentioned to before on the podcast. And again, it was a really nice compliment. I don't know if I agree with her because she was like, sometimes in our family, we're like, thank God Tyler's around and knows what he's doing, which is just 100% not true. It's not true where it's like, I have no idea what I'm doing. But I find something to fight for. I put one foot in front of the other, and I can give off the vibe where it's like, okay, if you guys can take from me the vibe of like, well, it's going to be okay. I know what I'm doing, and you're my people, then that's good enough. Because I think Joe has no idea what the fuck he's doing.
The vibe is, come here, baby girl.
Yeah, it's like, come here, baby girl. Like, let's hug. Let's be okay. Let's just. It's funny because I actually had something like that happen today, where it's like, there's just a lot of scary things happening, and if you could just be like, it's gonna be okay, and you give off the vibe, because Joe has no idea what he's doing, but he gives off the vibe that he does, where it's like, okay, this guy's been here before. He will probably know how to. He has no idea, but he gives off that vibe where Ellie is like, thank God Joel is here. And with the girls in the foundation, I know I'm not probably all that they deserve as far as like a fundraiser or as an advocate or whatever. But I know a lot of them feel that toward me of like, thank goodness this guy is around, because he gives off the vibe. He cares, and he gives off the vibe that he semi knows what he's doing. But I have no idea.
Whatever, bro. Fuck, all this got me like ripping up my nails, biting my nails, like, shit, this is like,
it's a good story, bro.
And I'm gonna say this, and if you are in a position where we all have our lives, right, and we have our needs that we're all trying to meet, right, and we can't give all the time, and that's okay. The reality of it is that's okay. We cannot give all of ourselves all of the time, or even extra, right? But if you find yourself in a position where you can give, please donate to Tyler and his organization. And this is not planned. This is not, hey, how can we? This is me going, I'm sitting across the table of an individual that is trying to literally build a better world for people that live in a fucking shitty world. So if you find today that you can take a moment and donate anything, $1, 10 cents, $100, $1,000. If there's some insane situation where someone who is so wealthy that even like $10,000 or $100,000, if you find yourself in that position, please donate to Libertas and Tyler and the foundation, because I'm telling you, I have met these girls. I know where this is going, and it is going to help them, and it will make the world for them. So if you can, please just help. And if you can't, that's okay. Just keep being a better human being. Keep trying to do what you can. And when the day comes where you can, I hope that this memory comes back to you if you hear this and you think about Tyler's organization, and just help it keep going, because it really is saving lives, emotionally as well as physically. So Tyler, be sure to include it in our show notes, how to do that, where to do that, because Tyler's a real life Joel to real life Ellie's, and it's just worth it. It's a real organization that's doing real good. So, and it's something I really believe in, and
Sure.
and I'm pretty stingy, not stingy. I'm very particular with what I actually want to believe in and support, and know where shit's going.
Yeah.
This shit is real. So, anyways, I just want to add that.
No, thanks, Sam. I appreciate that. And like, well, we can. It's almost dinner time for us, so.
Holy shit!
But
7. Wow.
yeah, but like I'll second that. Please donate. Just because there's a scene I'll go back to. There's two scenes. One is, and I know you're probably the same way too now, because you've met these girls, you've had dinner with these girls. If just one
Yeah.
was placed in front of you, like let's say just the one we met the other night for tacos, if it was that person of the world, I'm pretty sure you'd choose that person because you care, and the world be damned. Like that person we have to help. The other one is like I've been in so many situations like where with Ellie and Joel where she kills David, where there's so many things that could have been going through Ellie's mind. Where one is that her world is falling apart at that moment. She has no idea if Joel even survived what went on. She just committed a horrific act. And a lot of these girls that I work with feel that they were okay with what was going on, that they somehow asked for it, that they somehow provoked it, that they somehow deserved what had happened to them. And I imagine that Ellie kind of felt the same way, where she took a life of a pedophile cannibal, but she took a life.
Yeah.
And she's gonna, like, just like Logan said to Laura, like, you're gonna have to live with that. You took a life.
Yeah.
Her world is falling apart. She's feeling guilt about what just happened, about what she did, what's happening around her. And there's been situations where I've been able to witness people be that Joel figure and be like, it's okay. Like the world is not falling apart. I'm still here. If you feel like you're falling apart, hold on to me. It's okay. We're still here. And for me, it's like people like Sam that donate, because I can't be someone's Joel unless I have money to do that. And so like people like Sam, people listen to podcasts that give monthly or that have given, just thank you, because I mean you just allow someone to when their world is falling apart, to know that it's actually not falling apart and there is something still to fight for. And in this world of darkness, we can still follow the light.
Yeah.
Sam, The Last of Us, man.
The Last of Us.
You want to take us home? Any last thoughts?
I think it's just, sometimes we live in a dark world, and it's hard to see the light at the tunnel. And sometimes there's no light at the end of the tunnel that we can see. And sometimes, like Jinx walking around in the tunnel in the darkness from Arcane, it's just the light that's around us, right? Even if it's just the light from a lighter, just keep walking, just keep moving forward. Even if you can't see a destination or a silver lining. Just don't give up, because there's some Joel somewhere moving through the hospital floor to come and fucking get you. And that might not be me, might not be Tyler, it might not be someone you even know. And maybe it is, but someone's coming.
Someone's coming.
So just hang in there. Enjoy being in the present moment. Nothing lasts forever, both good and bad. So when it's good, really enjoy it, because it's not going to be there forever. And when it's bad, just keep sitting through it, because that won't last for forever either. And just be sure to tell someone that you love them.
Fuck, man, that was a good fucking episode, man. God, fucking The Last of Us. I got all kinds of thoughts going through my head. Dude, thanks for that. That was nice, man. That was
Yeah, dude.